Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, hello. Hi, Straynor. Hi, Thimery. Hi, guys. Let me switch over here. Hello, welcome. Welcome to, oh my god, it's episode 5 already of Bounty Acquired. Hello. I hope you're all doing
Hello.
good. Our guest for this week is Rainy. Welcoming in Rainy. Rentyn,
Hi.
is it correct in
Yes.
pronouncing that? Rainy Rentyn, your
Mhm.
local magical girl. Do you want to introduce yourself and see who you are and what you do?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. My name is Rainy. I'm your local magical girl, as Kuzi said. I play a lot of variety games and variety content. We do singing and sometimes dancing. Sometimes we just chat. A lot of times we just chat. We play a lot of Overwatch and Fortnite and a ton of indie games and lots of PlayStation 2 games. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you kind of hopping on and joining my little show. I know it's at least for me, it's kind of intimidating to reach out to creators for this because I mean, the past few episodes, every episode so far, I've had some existing relationship with the guest,
mm,
whether it's mutuals or kind of just like friends from VTubing, that kind of stuff. But with you, I kind of it was kind of a shot in the dark, being like, "Hey, I appreciate I like
oh,
this creator's content. Let me see if I
really?
can reach out." Yeah, of
Oh,
course,
that's
yeah.
very sweet.
So yeah, I wanted to kind of give us a chance to talk and learn more about each other and kind of what you know what we do on a on a day to day basis. But I guess the always the um question I like to ask is what brought you to VTubing? What I love learning about people's entrance to this community because I myself am very or I'm quite new to the community, so I'd love to hear your experiences with getting into it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, let me see. How did I start VTubing? Well, I actually started as a non-VTuber.
Oh,
Because during the pandemic, I had friends that were streamers, and I was like, oh man, this seems like super, super fun.
hmm,
I kind of want to do that, especially because like I couldn't like go anywhere or do
yeah,
anything with anyone because everyone was in their house or they were like, everyone was going through their own mental stuff and sometimes people didn't even want to talk. Um,
hmm,
so I was like, okay, well, if y'all don't want to talk, I will seek friendship on the internet, which my family definitely said not to do when I was younger. But so I, made my account, and one of my friends was very like kind and was like, here, these are things that you'll want, like an alert box and things like that, because I didn't know what to do.
hmm,
Um, and I started streaming, and my streams were terrible because my audio was bad and everything was bad, but I didn't know what to do. My computer was very old,
yeah,
and could barely run anything. I actually ended up having to go get a capture card because the only way I could stream with my computer was
hmm,
specifically by only streaming console games, because if I tried to use anything actually on the computer running a game, it would, one, the secondary fan would come on. It sounded like a jet engine in my house. And for the stream, they were like, we don't know, we can't hear. If anyone was there, they probably would have left. But they I got better from there, and then about a year, like 6 or 7 months in, Hollow Live English happened,
mm,
and I was already kind of interested because I had seen Korone, um,
okay,
and I had been interested in VTubing before with like Kizuna Eye and all
sure,
that, but I was like, that's not something the average person can do. That's like you have to have a company. I don't even know
yeah,
how
like
you
a
get
whole team
models.
behind you, right? Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day when she was popular, like I don't think anyone really knew how to do that. Um,
no,
and so now it's like you could just like walk down the Twitter sphere and be like, that person has models, that person has models. So now it's a lot. I feel like the bar is a lot simpler to get into. But I saw
sure,
Korone and I saw her English only stream, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so funny. And then
hmm.
I saw Coco from Hello Live, and I went, wow, wait, is this possible now for like other people to do? Um, and so then I started finding like a bunch of independent VTubers. Like at the time, it was like Iron Mouse. These are before VShojo and everything, but it was like Iron Mouse and the other girls from VShojo, and I think there were some other streamers at the time. I'm like blanking on their names, but a lot of other people that did have models already, and I was like,
Sure.
oh, wow. And then a lot of people like, oh, I started learning live 2D, so I was like, oh, wow, okay. Um, so eventually, I tried to make my own model, and
Yeah.
that did not end well. So I was like, I'm throwing away this idea, even though it took me a month and a half.
Oh,
We're gonna just
wow.
like try to save up money instead, and that's kind of how my that was probably a long-winded story of I watched a Hollow Live and I got interested, but I had already been interested in streaming, and so I just kind of was like, if I don't have to do makeup every day, that would be wonderful. If I just could just get on and just already feel super confident without having to, I don't know, to dress up fancy too. Because oh my
Sure.
goodness, I'm gonna be honest, pajamas are comfy. So
I mean, there's a certain mental kind of preparation to getting like yourself ready for camera as well, right?
mhm.
I mean, I'm similar to you. I used to be a face cam streamer before discovering VTubing. My VTubing journey was kind of similar to yours, where maybe a bit later on, where it was Luxiem's kind of launch, and I was like, oh,
Oh yeah,
like these are like this is a cool concept. I was always so enthralled with like just the fact that you could like have a whole event about you starting to stream. Like a debut was such an
yeah.
appeal to me, being like, wait, people like write songs and like perform for like their first stream, and I was like, that's so cool. So I kind of looked into it. I went the PNG route where I was like,
I did too.
I started as a little PNG guy. Gave him a funeral once my model was ready.
Did you take one of those pictures of like the the person who like is like I don't know, they're like sitting over the grave like they're dead type
Yeah,
of meme?
I wish. I actually, what I did, the meme I did was
I give you the
the
coffee. You were so courteous, by the way. I
the
forgot to grab it.
the Andy playing with Buzz, where he drops Woody and goes, "I don't want to
Oh
play
my
with
god.
you anymore." I made a meme. I made a meme
Those
of
are classics.
my PNG like being dropped, and I was like, "That's." But yeah, it's what my point was. It's like it feels so much easier now. I mean, there is still like that setup of, oh, I have to get my tracking, I have to get my all of these software set up,
Opening
but
every program.
yeah. But I mean, it seems like there's a lot of a lot more ease to be like, oh, I have a stream today. I can just stream in my like pajamas and not care.
Yeah.
Like it's super nice. But yeah,
I
no,
also
that's
think that oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
no. I was finished. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I think that for a lot of people, sometimes people don't even feel confident on stream, and so sometimes
Mm,
VTubing is like they don't feel confident even to make content, even if they don't stream. Because like even if you're a VTuber, you don't have to be a streamer. You can be a YouTuber, or
yeah,
you can just be a VTweeter if you want.
exactly.
But I think that for the people who will be on camera, sometimes they just never start because they're like, "Oh, I don't like the idea of like being on camera. I don't want to be in front of people." But VTubing allows them to be able to do that without
Hmm.
that worry, which is why I like it. So,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you mentioned like trying to get your first model, trying to draw your first model. I know you as someone who has multiple models at this point.
mm,
Do you think there's like do you think there's any more expression between like 2D and 3D? Because to my knowledge, you have a 2D model, a 3D kind of one-to-one model, and then you have like a pixelated model for your retro stuff, which we'll kind of get into more later. But
yeah.
yeah, do you think there's like do you have to like act differently, or do you feel yourself naturally acting differently depending on 2D or 3D? Like what's your personal preference at the moment?
So for me, it really depends on the day because I talk with my hands no matter what,
Sure.
even
Yeah.
if I'm using my 2D model, but you can't see that,
Uh-huh.
if I'm using my 2D model because I don't have like hand tracking.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But the what's it called? Sometimes I want to not have to worry about my hand tracker. Like if I'm playing a game that is really focused on like, oh, I need to have my hands on the keyboard. I'm not going to be talking.
Sure.
I'm just gonna use my 2D model. Or sometimes the 3D can be a little bit harder on a computer. because
Gotcha.
it's, rendering light and stuff, which a 2D is not usually doing unless it's
Mhm.
a really big file. I tend to act the same, but I set up all my models. Whenever my model parent gives me my model, I
Yeah.
then go through all of the settings and make
Oh,
sure
to
that it
like
reacts like the same to me
yeah.
because I don't want to have to act differently necessarily. With my 2D model,
Sure.
I don't have VBridger.
Gotcha,
Um,
yeah.
and so I have to like be more aware of, like, how I'm looking at the camera, but with my 3D
Yeah.
model, I have an AR kit. I'm
Oh,
hoping one
awesome.
day I'll have vBridger and it'll be a little bit easier, but I
Please.
also just I come from a background of, like, theater and singing and
Oh,
stuff like that, so
awesome.
I open my mouth a lot, whereas some
Yeah.
people don't do that, and I think that definitely affects their models, when, they're opening their mouth only a little bit, and then their mouth is, like, not moving at all, and their people in chat are like, you really shouldn't say this in someone's chat if they're a VTuber, but there are those people that don't understand common courtesy and be like, "Why isn't your mouth moving?
Right,
Why
yeah.
what why is your mouth closed? Open it." Like, it's like, "Shut up." Maybe their
Yeah.
model doesn't work that way. Like, just watch the stream. But, I tend to try and act the same or not act the same, I'm just myself. That's what I
Mm,
try to do. Just
that's
be myself.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned musical theater. I'm someone who grew up loving musical theater, but never actually like like my school was tiny, so like even
Really.
like primary school and elementary and like high school, I just had
Mhm.
no like music options. Like all of my like music stuff I did outside of school. So like I went through the whole like academy music grade system to like
Wow.
for vocals. Um
Fancy. I would just like to sing, so I do it by
yeah,
myself, but wow.
but
Do you
I
do covers?
I do. I actually I recorded one a few days ago that I really want to get out, but it was also I was getting over like a crazy cold and flu that I was like, oh, I was sick for like the
I
past
just got over
week,
that too.
and a song released a few days ago, and this might give away in my next cover, but a song released a few days ago that I was like, I have to cover this right now. I've never been that person
Ooh.
to be like, I want to get a cover out as fast as possible, but for this one, I'm like, "Ah, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it.
Yeah,
Um,
wait, do it. Also, your talking voice is so nice. So when you
oh,
said that you're
thank
into singing, I'm
you.
like, ooh, I bet it sounds really nice. I'll have to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I have always been kind of musically inclined. Like I really loved like singing growing up, but when I got to like high school, I started like losing time to sing and I couldn't really do it much. And there was a few years where I just didn't sing and I was like either too busy with like a part-time job or
Oh.
school or anything. But VTubing really
Mhm.
brought me back to it. I was like, it's so inspiring to see so many people release covers or originals so frequently that it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so motivating. I'm like, please, 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 please. Like, I wanna do more. So I've got a couple of covers out there right now, and I've learned how to do the basics of mixing, so I can anytime I want to do like a short cover on Twitter, I can just be like, hey, here you go, guys. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, you mentioned you like that kind of stuff. What what is your experience with that, and even when like tied to VTubing, like how do you feel about like performing while
Oh,
being a VTuber?
so I don't have any like actual at least in singing, I've never had, like, class or I mean, I had a choir class, like, once,
Sure.
but, like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like me learning to sing, it was like they already just expected everyone to sing, they were just like, "Okay, I'm gonna put you in a spot and
Gotcha.
you're all gonna sing the song," and I'm gonna be honest, not everybody was very good. I like to
Yeah.
think I'm okay, but, I just have always liked singing,
Mm.
and my mom was always like, "I like when you sing, I like when you act, I like when
Aw.
you do these things," and so Vitamin allows me to do all the things that I've liked to do that I never thought I would like really have a chance to do. Because most people, okay, I shouldn't say most people. I mean, maybe it is most people. Most people don't like wake up in life and go, I'm going to be an actor
Right.
or I'm
Yeah.
going to be a singer. Like, I mean, there are people that do, but if you don't know, who to talk to or what to do, I know a lot of people who are famous singers kind of had a connection in some way,
Mm.
either to someone that was already in the music industry that kind of could help them when they were younger figure out how to get to get connections and stuff. Where actors, it's usually not like the random person who's just like, I have no connections to music at
Eh.
all, but not to say it can't happen.
Yeah.
um But I had no idea how to do that, and I, didn't have, money for, like, singing classes, and so I was just like,
Sure.
"Well, if I practice enough and I listen to other people who are good at singing, maybe I'll be okay at singing." So I do like to sing. In
That's
terms of, like,
awesome.
theater background, I never actually got chosen for, a lot of things,
Mm.
but I was in improv for a long time,
Oh,
and so
cool.
I really love improv, which is like, it's like theater, but also for anyone who doesn't know what improv is, like theater, but also you have to think on your feet about what you're gonna do because you don't have a script. You don't have anything. So you have to be like, you have to have comedic timing and you
Yeah.
eventually hopefully get better at it because some people I know for me, I was not great at improv when I first started, as most things. But you get better, you learn how to be funnier, you learn how to think on your feet about like how the next part of the show should go, and hopefully everybody who's with you is going to be like yes, and let's make it work together and not like no but.
Yeah.
um
Wow,
so yeah.
that's so interesting. I mean, like, have you seen improv like slip into your streaming stuff?
Oh, all the time.
Do you think it's like helped you like knowing that skill?
Oh, so much. Improv is very important because not only does it like teach you comedic timing and like just how to be funny, but it really makes you think on your feet quickly. Um,
Yeah.
because if you're on stage in front of, 50, 60, 100 people, which are some of the ranges of the shows that I did, and you're just like, your collab partner says, like, we have to go to the factory. And you go, right. The chocolate factory. Like, you have to think about
You have
what
to,
the next
yeah.
part's going to be,
Yeah.
and I think that helps
Ah,
a
that's
lot
so
because now
cool.
I don't worry so much about, like, I don't know. It made me not nervous about, like, when things aren't going well, because if something's not
Right.
going well, it's like, "Okay, what can I do? These are my options. Let's choose an option. If that option doesn't work, what else can I do?" Um, because that's one thing I think in streaming as a whole, not even just for VTubing, there's a lot of times where people don't really know what to do. And this happens in D&D a lot too, with maybe an
Sure.
inexperienced DM where it's like, we want to go to the capital, and they're like, oh, I didn't plan for you guys to go to the capital.
Sure.
Sorry, you can't go. The road's closed. And it's like, oh, all right, well, we want to go to the forest. That's also closed. Like
Uh,
you when really it should be, sure, I haven't planned the capital, but we will figure it out as we go, right?
right, yeah.
In my opinion, like the best show or performance or entertainment should be when your audience doesn't realize problems are happening. And I don't mean like when when stuff happens, it just happens. But if you can make it as smooth as possible,
Sure.
try to do that, because then there will be less people that will leave because they're not taken out of that experience. It's kind of like immersion, different from like, oh my god, you're my wait, what type of VTuber are you?
I'm a bounty hunter. I'm a space bounty hunter.
Oh, okay. You're my space bounty hunter boyfriend. And it's like, oh, I posted a picture of my face. Well, my immersion is broken. It's like, no, the immersion
Yeah.
of the show, right? People should
Sure.
think, oh, this is a real show,
Yeah.
type of thing.
I get it. Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yeah, that's really cool. The only experience I've ever seen of like improv, there's these two. I don't know if you know them. There's these two on TikTok who they do improv musical shows. Um,
that sounds like right up my alley.
it's
What are their
so
names?
funny. I can find it after the show for you, but
Okay.
like they were so funny because you can just see them like improving this musical song and
Mm-hmm.
just like busting out laughing because it's so funny to both of them. They're just like they can't contain it. So, yeah, that's really cool. I'm super intrigued with the fact that like how something like improv can help, because I've always like even as like a VTuber now, I've always struggled with like trying to bounce off myself. You know, if there's
Mm.
not a lot of people in chat, or if you're like, for me personally, recently I've made a goal this year to try and get better at just chatting on my streams, because usually when I start a stream, I'm like, hey, how's everyone doing? Blah blah blah. Like 10 minutes of like catching up and then straight into the game. Whereas I
Mm-hmm.
kind of want to make the kind of chatting scene a part of the stream, like, and I don't know if that's I've seen you, spend a bit of time before you jump into a game kind of chatting to everyone, like, what advice would you have for someone who's like trying to
Oh,
improve on that? Because it's for me, it's like if I chat for like 20 minutes, I'm like good session, but I want to make it more like 40 minutes to an hour of kind of catching up and be like,
yeah. Well, I don't know how helpful this will be, but throughout my entire life, I've been told that I never really shut up. Um, and so some advice, when I started streaming, I didn't really have a lot of just chatting because especially when you've just started streaming, most people I think are going to start with little to no audience.
yeah,
They're not going to be known. Maybe they have a couple friends, maybe one or two, maybe on a good day 5 during your first like month or so. I know for me that was sometimes a really good day.
yeah,
Um, and I wouldn't do a lot of just chatting because I was like, well,
hmm,
there's no one here to talk to me. So I would just kind of start in the game and I would like talk while I talk while I'm playing stuff, which I don't know how good that is to do. Most people are probably there for
sure,
just the game. But if you're like, I'm struggling to talk for a long time, I have the way my brain works is I have a tendency to, and maybe this is the ADHD, I don't know. It's if I'm talking about something in particular, like, oh, we're talking about musical theater, then my brain goes,
sure,
oh my God, this is my favorite musical, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, in the musical, they talked about a dog. And then I'll like recall
gotcha,
you a story about a dog. Like I don't do it
hmm,
on purpose. It just kind of happens.
yeah,
But it allows you to just talk for hours. And I mean, my husband loves to tell me, why do you talk to yourself? And I'm like, what
practice,
do you mean? And he'll be like, well, I heard you have an entire conversation. Who were you talking to? And I was like, myself.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
I would recommend if you're already like doing just chatting and you want to like continue and you're like, how do I elongate this? Asking questions is really good, especially if you have
mm,
people in chat. I like to ask people, how
sure,
was your weekend? How was your day?
yeah,
What things did you do? What things did you eat? Because then maybe we could talk about food. We can talk about something that, someone's like, oh, I went to the zoo. And I'm like, oh, I love the zoo. I love seeing these animals at the zoo.
hmm,
And then from there, you just kind of continue like a long string, I guess. Never let the
yeah.
string break. Well, okay, don't say that. That makes it sound like really nerve-wracking, like, oh God. But just try your best to just let it kind of flow, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, of
I don't know
course, that
how
makes
helpful that
sense.
was.
No, definitely. I mean, yeah. Like I like the idea of like trying to recall stories to tell chat or stuff like that, because there's
And it's
interesting
okay
stuff
to
that
tell the same stories. Like
yeah.
sometimes, like if it's been like a while and you're like, well, I told you all this before. I'm gonna tell you again. This is the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I'll improve at it. Usually I like to I'm trying to find a balance between like gaming, just chatting and like the karaoke stuff that I do as well.
Hmm.
Um one thing that I've kind of enjoyed doing recently is anytime anyone raids me, I give them like a karaoke song because I'm like
Oh, that's fun.
that's a good way to kind of imbue even if I'm not doing a dedicated karaoke stream, I can still be like, hey, I can still put that part of my content into my other content. It's nice,
Yeah.
you know. It also gives like the raiders something to latch onto as opposed to
Hmm.
like, oh, how are you? What were you playing? I was playing this. Oh, cool. Like, the generic like raids kind of
Yeah.
conversations go.
Sometimes people have like little videos or something too.
Right, yeah. Oh, I love them. I gotta get one of them done. They're so cool.
I
Um,
think it's a good way to like show off everything that you're doing. Is like, here's a short video of what I do here. I hope you'll stick
yeah.
around, type of
And then
thing.
you can
I,
also
I don't have one, but
multi-purpose it for your channel trailer. To just be like,
hmm
there you go.
yeah.
uh, that's cool. Um, so going back to like the model thing with I noticed when you play a lot of retro games. I've seen
I
that
do.
recently. And you have a little 3D kind of low poly model to go along with it. I
Yeah.
just think that's so cool. But like what was your like favorite game growing up or
Odin
um
Sphere.
or more so like have you
Mhm.
had is there we'll talk about Odin Sphere in a second, but is there is there a game that you found through retro? Like, have you always played like games you remember playing, or was there times where you're like, hey, I'm gonna play a game that I never got to play as a kid, kind of thing?
So most of the games that I play on my channel are games I've never played before. Odin
Oh,
Sphere is
awesome.
like,
The exception.
yeah, well, because that is my favorite game, and I feel like it has never gotten the attention it deserves.
Sure.
But um, for I normally there are very few times where I will replay a game that I played
Mhm.
in the past.
Okay.
Most of the
Wow.
time, I think it's fun to watch someone experience something for the first time.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, that's why people love watching gameplays where it's like, oh my god, so and so is going to experience this for the first time, especially if it's your favorite game
Sure.
and
Yeah.
you've already experienced it. Now you're like, oh, I get to watch someone else experience it. And I mean, then you have some people in chat that are like, I'm just gonna tell you what happens. But most of the people are just there to watch you kind of go through it the same way they did. Um, and so the games that I've played recently, all of the PlayStation games, other than Steambot Chronicles,
Mhm.
have been games I've never played
Wow.
myself when I was a kid. So
That's awesome. I just remember the GameCube PS2 era of video games being like
yeah.
so it just fills me with so much joy. Like a mix between like my favorite thing. So what I used to do and what I think I might start doing again is playing really bad or surprisingly good movie tie-in games because there were so
Oh my
many
gosh,
movie tie-in
yes.
games on that generation. Like Disney's Cars on
It had
PS2.
a tie-in game?
It was so good as well. It was
Was it an
like
actual good
it
game?
was actually a good game. The two movie tie-in games I remember because most of them are really bad.
Yeah,
But the
but I
two I
kinda like when
remember,
they're bad.
right? Yeah, the two I remember being like, "Whoa, like this was really fun." Is Cars and Toy Story 3 specifically.
There was
Um,
there was a Toy
yeah,
Story
the Toy
3
Story.
tie-in game.
There was a Toy Story tie-in game for each Toy Story movie.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't
Oh.
know. Like it's so nice to think back and be like, oh, like I want to play like Bolt on Nintendo Wii,
Yeah,
just like
I
showcase it to
really loved
people.
the Wii, but I never had a GameCube until recently. One of my
Yeah, I
chatters was
saw.
really, really sweet. I cannot even believe it. I was like so happy to finally have a GameCube. We haven't started it yet, but like there are a couple games that the chatter gave me. Crafty Burb was like Wind Waker and another Zelda game. And I've never the very first and only Zelda game I've ever played was Breath of the Wild. And
Oh
like my
wow.
chatters were like, that's not possible, right? Like you're old. Like, how did you never play a Zelda game? And I was like, well, we were poor. So I didn't have any Zelda games and I didn't have any Pokemon games until Black and White.
Sure.
Um, I had very few games. So for my Nintendo 64, I had Yoshi Story,
Okay.
Mario, Paper Mario,
Yeah.
and like that was kind of it for
Yeah.
a long time until I think I got the Tarzan game and that one was kind of broken. But I didn't have a lot of games as a kid. And even once I got a PlayStation 2, I mostly
Mm.
had JRPG games. Like I
Yeah.
got Odin Sphere, I had Tales of the Abyss,
Mm.
I had Steambot Chronicles, but I didn't have a whole lot. Like some of my friends, they were like, "Oh my god, I have like 100 games. What do you want to play?" I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed with the options. I have like 3 games. It's
Yeah.
very simple.
I would also be in that boat where I would get a game and I would play it for months. Like it would be
Yeah.
like I remember playing like I don't know, Twilight Princess on GameCube like for so long. I was like just trying to find all of these like secrets and like
Mhm.
back on the GameCube, like you'd get hints and tips from like magazines. Like
Yes,
you wouldn't
and
you
the
yeah.
little, the manuals that were in the
Yeah,
games.
oh my god. Oh my
They
goodness.
don't
Like
have that anymore.
it was so nice to be like I remember like the Zora Temple in Twilight Princess is um every water temple in Zelda seem to be like the notoriously hard versions. Like Ocarina of Time, there's the Zora domain as well, and it's just like you didn't know like you would spend days or hours or
Yeah.
days on these dungeons just to be like I finally figured it out. Where now, if I'm stuck, I'm guilty of this. If I'm stuck on a game or a quest for longer than like 15 minutes, I'm like, Google, what do I do here?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a fun amount of like, I don't really know what to do, but after a while, I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to leave. I
And
want to go away.
once it stops being fun, it's like, oh no. Um, but yeah, that's so cool. I love that there's still, you know, creators like you who are just like showcasing these like older titles. I think it's like there's a certain like it just fills me with like almost nostalgia, but like
Yeah.
just yeah, just having creators showcase this kind of stuff, and it really makes me want to do it more as well.
I think that for me, especially because I didn't have a lot of money when I was younger, and I wanted to actually start streaming back in 2014.
Mm,
But I was in college, and I don't know, OBS didn't have a lot of like plugins. It felt
yeah.
like you had to kind of know how to code, or you had to know where to find the code to like have an alert box, to have all these things that now is so simple. It's like,
Hmm.
you Google like, what do I need for streaming? There will be hundreds of videos like alert box, chat box,
Yeah.
game, camera,
Like there's
mic,
so
like
much
that.
stuff. Yeah.
It just makes it so easy to just know what you need. But back in the day, it was like, one, I don't know if you watch the streamer awards at all.
Yeah.
Did you I actually was there, so I don't know if there was a difference in like what
Oh,
was shown
cool.
to. It was actually really cool. I got to go
That's
very
awesome.
last minute.
Yeah, we
Um,
got to talk about that for sure. But yeah,
I'd love to. But they showed a video of like old clips of like the one that I can think of is like Pokey mainstream.
right.
It looked garbage comparatively. Comparatively,
Sure.
all these streams looked so bad to what we know now, but it's because it was new. It's like
Yeah.
for me being in the cosplay scene for so long, like 15
Mm,
years, cosplayers used to look bad. I looked bad. All of our wigs were not very like well styled. Like, I mean, there were people who were outliers and who looked gorgeous and beautiful, especially like in Japan themselves. But in America, the
yeah.
cosplay scene was rough early on. But we were having fun, so it didn't matter. But like comparatively, if you were to cosplay like back in 2008, now most people would be like, "Oh wow, that looks
That's
bad," because
terrible.
the wigs weren't as good, the quality wasn't as high. Um, and so it's really weird to watch older clips from a streamer who is now like, it looks so clean and professional,
Yeah.
or streamlined. Whereas it's like that's just how things were. That's kind of how I feel about like showing older games. Is like I didn't really get to ever do that. I never really had an opportunity
Hmm.
um, to even play these. So why don't I just play them with other people? I actually often don't play any games off stream anymore that
Oh
aren't like
wow.
multiplayer games. And it's just because I like experiencing them with everybody else more
Sure.
so than I like experiencing it by myself. I think that's just
Yeah.
streamer brain though.
That makes sense. I
So I
mean,
just
yeah, I run into it a lot where I'm like, I'm starting this game and then I get an hour in, I'm like, this is really cool. I want to stream it. But I have to make
mhm.
that separation like, okay, no, I want to enjoy this for myself. Um, yeah, because sometimes I'd start a game on stream and then I'd be like, oh, I want to play it, but I started it already on stream, so now I have to
That was
like
me with Lies of P.
now I have to wait. But I'm trying to get better at that. I mean, I did recently just finish Yakuza Kiwami 2
Oh,
off
how
stream.
was that? I've heard that series is
Uh
really, really fun.
it's I highly recommend it. I mean, it's a big time investment. I'm 3 games in now and
They're
there's
like
like
7 games or 8.
yeah,
There's
there's
a
I think
lot.
I mean there's 8 mainline. No, sorry, there's 9 mainline and then there's 2 spin-offs. So it's like
Mm.
and it took me 70 hours to 100%. So it's like
Oh my gosh. Wait, do
it's
you
a
100% every game? Are you at
no,
100%er?
I wish. I used to have that mindset, but
Mhm.
as I got older, I'm more about like just getting through and being like, okay, I want to experience the story and stuff like that. Some games, if I like them enough, I would 100% them. I think just with Yakuza, I think side content is such a key part of the game that I wanted to do it at least once. You know, maybe I'm not gonna
Yeah.
100% all Yakuza games, but I was so thrilled after like beating this one 100%. I'm like, like I never want to play mahjong again. I'm sorry. I had to
Oh,
learn. I had to learn how to play mahjong for this game, and I
like
was
the
like,
legit Mahjong?
Yeah, I was like, what? I was going through
Well,
my completion list. It's like play golf, play darts. I'm like, cool. I'm play karaoke. Yeah, damn. Like I'm good. I'm good. And it's like, yeah, win all mahjong tournaments. I'm like,
that
no,
sucks. I
no.
would be
What do
like,
you
nope.
mean? I was like, what do you mean? So yeah, that one's good. I mean, you mentioned cosplay. I did some digging, just a little bit of
Oh,
research, just a little bit of research. But I just want to have that cosplay conversation. If someone who's you mentioned 15 years, that's a long
mhm.
time.
Yeah,
Um,
I started cosplaying in like 2009.
oh my god, like I've been to I've been to a decent amount of conventions in my life, but I've always had the urge, even before like becoming a VTuber. I was like, maybe I'll try out cosplay one year or something, but I never,
It's really fun.
I never got to. I was either I didn't have the time or the
You could
money
always
or
do it.
yeah, and I was
Cosplay
like,
has a much lower bar for entry, and also you can basically buy whatever cosplay you want now for a reasonable price.
yeah, I was like, I think now I'm like, I probably, if I want to go to like a convention, I want to cosplay my VTuber.
Yeah, you should. You can make like a cool jacket. Oh my gosh. I made
But
my own VTubers cosplay. I need to edit it a little, but
that's so cool. Like, I guess my question would be like, what have been the most memorable moments from doing cosplay, or is it something you're still actively doing, and
I
is it
do.
something that you want to like I mentioned, like imbue into your streaming slash
Well,
content
sometimes
creation
I
journeys and
cosplay on
whatnot?
stream.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like a 2% IRL streamer because I like to stream in cosplay or like I very rarely will stream
hmm,
like IRL, not in a cosplay or an outfit. So like sometimes we'll
gotcha.
just wear something that's cute with the wig because
Yeah.
I have like over 200 wigs just because I
Oh
really
my.
like that I can change up my look. I used to wear them to school and stuff. So um
Oh.
whenever I wanted to change up how I looked, I would just be like, I look different today.
That's cool. What about
But
contacts?
yeah,
Have you messed around with contacts for
I did
cosplay?
for a brief bit. I actually like them. The only problem is, before the pandemic happened,
Mm,
I bought a bunch because I had originally moved home and I actually had a job that was like
right.
paying a pretty good amount and I liked it. So it didn't take away a lot of my energy when I was, some jobs you do them and then you get home and you're so tired you can't
Sleep.
really do what you want to do. Yeah, it's just sleep or, lay on the couch. But I had a job that was pretty good for my mental state and also was paying me money. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I can go to all these conventions now for a decent amount of money. So
Mm.
I bought a bunch of contacts and the pandemic happened and didn't get to use them. So it was like $100 wasted because I bought a
No.
lot of them. I bought
Uh,
a ton of them because I was excited. Um, and I just didn't use
uh,
them. And so I haven't really bought any more since, but I haven't really needed to because while I do go to conventions still, I mostly kind of just go to cosplay with friends. I'm not
sure.
or be at a contest. I love being in cosplay
Oh,
contests.
cool.
I've only done it twice, but it's a fun experience. I just like entertaining and being on stage,
That's
which meant
awesome.
that streaming worked out really well because I can use all of the things I do like to do, like cosplay or arts or
Mm,
theater stuff, and I can do it all on my own little show. So I think streaming is awesome for that.
that's so cool. What has been your what has been your favorite cosplay that you've done?
Hmm.
If there is one.
Yes. There are multiple, but the one I can think about is have you ever seen Black Rock Shooter?
No, I haven't.
Well, in Black Rock Shooter, there's a character called Strength. It's spelled exactly like the word like to
Uh-huh.
be, strong, strength. And she has these gigantic arms. I'm talking like they are huge. And at the time, I lived at my parents' house because I was like in high school and all the people online were like, "Oh yeah, you have to use like EVA foam." Well, I couldn't find that. So I went, I know what I'll do. I'll use cardboard. So I made these. I had to use my brother as like reference for the size. So I
Sure.
used dowel rods, and then I made these gigantic
What?
boxes, and then like made fingers. They didn't articulate, but they had huge fingers and a
Whoa.
huge thumb. And they were how tall was he at the time? It was like 4 feet tall. They were 4 feet, like
Just the
3 feet.
arms?
They were just the arms. They were ginormous.
Ah.
And my grandma was like, "There's no way you're gonna like hold those all con." I said, "Yes, yes, I will." Um, they were bigger than like me almost because I'm 5'2", and at the time I think I was only 5 foot. So
Oh my goodness.
I took them into the
Massive
con center.
arms.
It was they were huge, but they were heavy. They were so heavy because it was a lot of hot glue and a lot of cardboard. And I was just like, at the con, I was like, this was a bad choice, but I keep getting compliments and I feel good, so it was a good choice. But they're so heavy. So I ended up though. The sad part is that because they were too big for the car we were taking back home, I
Mm.
actually had to break them and
No.
throw them away, like, before I even got home. So I only got to, like, use them going to the
Once.
con and at the con, and I have never remade them. 1, because
Oh my
I'd
goodness.
now make them out of EVA foam, and 2, I could probably figure out how to make them articulated because I could probably 3D print a lot of the parts now, but 3D printers weren't easily accessible, and I didn't own one. And no one I knew owned one. So,
Oh. Do you own one
so
now?
yeah. My husband does.
Oh, that's so
I almost
cool.
said my boyfriend. We haven't been boyfriend girlfriend in 3 years.
That's so cool. What has been the have you ever just so for me, I'm like, you mentioned ADHD. I also,
I
I'm
will
the
say I've
same
never
thing.
been fully
Oh, no, likewise,
diagnosed,
likewise.
but
But yeah, the
ugh,
signs all point to there. um,
yeah,
Immediately when I
it's a
think
big
of
flashing light.
3D printing, I like what is the funniest thing you've printed? Just impulse printed on that thing.
Well, I don't actually know how to use it, so I've never printed
You have
anything.
to
However,
berate him with
yeah, I
your
have to be like,
crazy ideas.
husband, can you make this thing for me, please? He was like, I can print you like your VTuber model if you get me an STL. I was like, oh, really? So, but I have to figure out how to do that. I think I just need Blender. But he made this like little toy. It was
Mm,
like he got a dragon file from like a friend of his. And so
yeah,
it was just this little cute articulated dragon. It was just fun to play with. It was kind of like honestly like a fidget toy, but
like
I
a
think that's probably
fidget.
the funnest thing.
Yeah. Ah, that's so cool.
But he's very good at that type of stuff. He has a resin printer and he's been printing a lot of like minis and Warhammer parts
Oh,
and
man. There's so many like niche like hobbies in the pop culture and gaming sphere that I'm like
yeah.
I want to get into it, but I'm
Well, if you ever have cosplay
like
questions, we're friends on
cosplay.
Discord now.
Just like card collecting, minifigure painting, all of that stuff. I'm a huge Disney fan.
Hmm.
And Disney released a card game at the end of last year, or middle
Oh,
of last year
nice.
called Lorcana, and I'm
Hmm.
just now being like, I wanna collect so many. I don't know, they're just so pretty. But
Did you ever play like Magic or anything? Since do you like collecting cards?
I love trading card games, but I love the collecting aspect of them. Like
Hmm.
I've never been one to collect stuff. It's um I like for Pokemon, I kind of started collecting, but then I was like, it's I either didn't have the income at the time to support it, or I just moved on to a different obsession. But
Yeah.
yeah, it with like it's always been fascinating to me to be like, oh, one of everything. Like I want to collect a full set. Like that's something that's a nice goal to have. But
I am like
uh,
that with figures.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I like to collect like anime figures, or like game figures. I actually own almost every Odin Sphere figure that exists that's not a garage kit. Um, that which there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 12
yeah,
or
wow.
13. But I really enjoy. Like I used to be into Magic for a brief
Hmm.
bit, back when my friends played, and some of those cards are just beautiful.
Yeah.
Actually, they have a Fallout deck right now, and I really
Oh, I
want it
saw. Yeah, I saw
because
it.
I want
It's
the dog meat
crazy.
card.
Yeah, I love the little
Uh,
quotes that Magic have on their cards as well. It's like so nice. It's
mhm.
just a nice little bit of flavor text. It's like, yeah, that's
It feels
nice.
cool because I
Yeah.
know people that have worked on, like, Magic
Oh
cards
wow.
before. I don't have any of their cards, but I'm just like the fact that I know people who do that type of thing is very cool.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely. I'll have to kind of look into it more. But with all of my interests, I either go super hyper fixation mode or just like forget about it after a day. So I need to like I need
Yeah.
to think about it. Um, I mean, in terms of like video games,
Yeah.
what have you been playing recently? Like, do you have a main game that you play or any focus on? I know you mentioned variety, but like how there's always seems to be some sort of structure to variety. Me, I don't. I
Oh,
could
I
be
don't Imma be honest, I have no structure.
I could be
It's
like
like whatever I feel like doing is kinda what we do.
right. Like there's so many times where I schedule a game for a day and then like that day gets there, I'm like, actually, I'm gonna play this game today. It's
I
like
used to, like, make,
ah
schedules. All the corporate VTubers tend to make, like, a schedule, and they are very rigid to, like,
yeah.
that thing. That's what they're going to
Hmm.
do. Sometimes, like, I used to be like that. I was very much like, "We're gonna do it even if I don't really feel like it," and now I'm just
Sure.
like, "We're gonna stream on this day, and this day. I don't know what we're doing yet. I'll figure it out, like, the day before. Just know we're gonna do something fun. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a good time. I don't know what it's gonna be." Like, I was gonna play Pacific Drive. Oh my gosh,
Ah,
Pacific Drive is super
we gotta
fun.
talk about it.
Have you ever played it?
I haven't beaten it, but I have about 15 hours.
Did you know that it is in the Pacific Northwest where I am from?
Oh, we have to okay. Yeah, so I mean there's this thing with me. I don't know where it stemmed from. I think it might have stemmed from Life is Strange, but a few years ago I just became super obsessed with Midwest America and I tried to find every piece of media that I'm
Midwest? Or do
yeah,
you
like
mean West Coast? Because I think Life
no,
is Strange is
like Midwest,
oh,
like yeah, like
like
I don't know.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, like like Montana and like just like the like Pacific
Oh.
Drive, right? Like that's
Well, no,
also.
Pacific Drive is the West Coast.
Oh,
It's
really?
not the Midwest. Mhm. It is the
Oh,
Pacific Olympic Peninsula.
well, there you go.
So it's
Yeah.
specifically in like Washington State, which is the most west you can get other than like Alaska. That's why I was like
Yeah.
Midwest would be like Wisconsin or I don't know,
Yeah,
Oklahoma. I
somewhere
don't know,
there,
somewhere
but
around there.
Owl City vibes.
I
But
think Life is Strange is in Seattle, right?
yeah.
Or Life is Strange 2,
Yeah, but I
Seattle.
mean both I think they're both very close, yeah, because it starts one place and ends the other. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oregon says is it
Oregon.
so?
Oh,
Say it Sue?
safe.
Say it Sue?
Safe.
Yeah.
Their name is Safe.
Safe.
Mhm.
Awesome.
I know it doesn't look that way, but it's German.
Perfect. I'll make a note of that. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. There was something about it. Like I think it was either between Life is Strange or Firewatch as well was another one that
Oh, I've been wanting to play
like
that. I've had it
um
forever.
what was the other one? Uh Oxenfree as well. It's like
I've also heard that's a very good game.
there's just something about it and yeah, I don't know, but Pacific Drive is definitely a unique game. I think it got a lot of
I
flack.
love it.
I got a lot of flack on launch
Why?
for being like too difficult. People are like, "Oh, why can't I save while I'm on a run?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of the whole
What
point."
I'm
It's
well,
like,
also, actually, okay, hold on. I don't know the people who make these games personally. However,
yeah,
if you open up the settings, you can
mm,
make the game as easy or as hard as you
right.
want. You
There
can
was
make it
really good accessibility.
there is so much accessibility. Like I turned it it used to be like, "Oh yeah, if you lose a run, you lose everything." And I just don't like games that make me
Sure.
lose everything, especially if I'm streaming it. Um
Yeah,
because then it's like, "Well, I just did all that hard work
for nothing.
for nothing." If I'm
Yeah,
doing like a Nuzlocke or something where it's a challenge run, then yeah, it makes
it
sense.
makes sense. Yeah,
But I don't play a lot of roguelikes because I don't like that type of well, you messed up once, so you lost everything. So I was able to turn that off. I turned off the fact that I had to like put gas in the car every time because like I like fixing the car, but I don't like filling up the gas when I
sure.
get back to
Yeah,
the house. But there are so many accessibility things or even just making it easier. You can make it basically so you can just drive around. I mean, you do still have to go through the story and it's a little
Yeah.
hard, but and scary, but it's a good game. Well, I
Yeah.
was supposed to play that game. I remember what we were talking about. I was supposed to play that game like last week, and then I went, what if I played the Nicktoons game instead? So I do love Pacific Drive. We will finish it, but I was in the mood for a PlayStation game. So
Yeah. I think there's yeah, I don't know. It's just it was such a unique game to me because like, you've got the whole survival, like fix up your car, like that's like super
mhm.
unique. But then like the anomalies are like
I
so cool.
know.
Like
They're
the
so
little
well, like, unique and designed because they're not just
yeah.
monsters. It's like some of them are monsters,
No.
some of them are just like dust that
Yeah.
it's
It's like,
scary.
oh, there's
Like,
this baller that just comes out of the ground and knocks your car over. It's like
yeah.
and there's so many cool ones. Like I think the tourists, even though they're one of the first ones you see, they're
I
still one
hate
of my
them.
they're
They
some one of my
scare
favorite
me.
because like
I know, but they're scary.
you'd park your car and you come back and there's like three of them in front of your car and you're like, okay
I
guys, like
know.
please move. And then like one of them threw an item at me once. Like
Wait, they can throw
they can
stuff?
toss items to you and you're like like what is this? Like where did you just be looking around, you'll see like a spring like roll across the ground and you're like, oh, you look over, there's a
Thanks.
tourist like like standing there like
I don't know. It's maybe because they look like mannequins. It's like they
yeah,
just
yeah.
creepy,
They're
creepy
almost like
vibes.
weeping angels, right? It's like
Yes.
they're,
Blech.
they're kind of like you look over and then you look back and it's like, oh, you're in a different pose, sir. But yeah, I think it's definitely a game I needed because I've been playing a lot of like open world like video games where it's like, oh, this is like a new experience, but a lot of aspects of it are being reused, or it's like I don't know. Pacific Drive just feels so unique and so fresh that I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is good.
Also, any game that comes from what like is based in Washington is probably a game I'm going to love.
That's
There are very few
awesome.
games that like showcase like I know that game doesn't showcase Seattle at all, but
Sure.
there are very few games that showcase like Seattle or
Yeah.
like Washington as a whole because I think it's actually a really cool place and I'm a little biased because I was born and raised there and lived there my
Have
whole life. Um
Have you played Infamous Second Son? Because
no, I plan to play every game that is in Seattle
I believe that one
soon-ish.
is because you've got the Seattle like the tower, the big spiky thing. What's it called? Space
You mean
Tower?
the
Space
Space Needle?
Needle? There it is.
Yes, our
I got
Space
there.
Needle that was created for the 1960s World's Fair
That's so cool. I was like,
that they just never tore down. I was so happy.
I think I remember Infamous Second Son being based there. Super cool game that was released on the PS4. It was a game that I played the original two, but Second Son is kind of like a reboot. I wish it came to PC. Like Sony's been putting a lot of their games on PC. Just
Yeah.
give Infamous a second chance, please. It's so
Do
cool.
you not have like a PlayStation 4 or do you just want more people to play it?
I just want more people to play it. Like it was like came out a couple of years, I think a year or two after PS4's launch,
Mhm.
and it's it's just so good. I think it's Insomniac. It's one of them.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of games. What aspects of video games kind of pull you into them? Is there a certain like mechanic or a certain like vibe that you see in a video game? You're like, okay, I immediately want to try that. For example, for me, I think any game with really fun movement or like
Mhm.
parkour or like, for example, I just started BioShock Infinite yesterday, and there's a lot of
Oh, that's one
like
of my husband's favorite games.
there's a
The
lot of like
claw thing?
a lot of rail grinding, a
Yeah.
lot of grappling. Like I'm obsessed with like that kind of stuff. Is there like anything that a game has that you're like, oh, I'm in, like I'm straight in, I'm in.
Honestly, if the game allows me to make myself in the game, like if the character customization is
Mm,
so good that I could make myself so that it feels like I'm myself playing the game,
yeah.
there's probably a high chance that I'd play it because I
Mhm.
actually prefer to play. I don't know why that's the case. I just like to be able to play myself in a game. It feels more
Sure.
like I'm the hero or whatever. But
Yeah.
I do like that. I don't. I think for the most part though, I'll try almost any game. Even
Yeah.
games that I didn't think I'd like. Like growing up, I never played first person shooters. I just
Oh,
did not.
wow.
And now that's probably one of the things that I play the most. The very first person shooter I ever played, my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, was like, "Oh, hey, you like video games, right?" And I was like, "I I like myself a video game.
I dabble.
I've played Kingdom Hearts 2." You know, I hadn't played a lot of games because, like I mentioned earlier, we didn't have a lot of money. So a lot of the times that I did play games, I borrowed them from friends.
Mm.
But he was like, "Oh yeah, would you like to play um Left 4 Dead?" And I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "It's a shooter." I was like, "Oh, I mean, I'm not really like great. I don't think I've ever really played that, but sure, we'll play." And I ended up really liking it. And then we played Borderlands 2.
Mhm.
And from there I just was like, "Oh, shooters.
Video
They're
games.
fun." And so then
Yeah.
in 2016 I started Overwatch.
Oh,
And
wow.
I back when Overwatch was brand new and like all the people at my school were talking about like, "Oh my god, I was in the beta. I got a
Yeah.
5-man or a 6-man tracer bomb." And I was just like, wow. And now the
Oh,
game is so
man.
different. But I
Yeah.
from then on I started like Fortnite and Apex, and I wouldn't say I'm good at Apex. I would say I'm like pretty okay at Fortnite, and I would say I'm very decent at Overwatch, but now
Mm.
I play um a lot of shooters. But I don't know, I will
Wow.
try anything once,
I'm so bad at
I guess.
shooters. I'm like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, because I also I played Overwatch when it first came out, like, and then I also jumped into Overwatch 2 for like the first season. I was like, okay, I'm good with this now.
Yeah.
Uh, but like, yeah, Fortnite. I've been playing a lot more recently.
Oh, the new season is so fun.
Just because of like ever since Zero Build came out, I was like,
Yes.
I can finally play this game again because I don't have to wait 20 seconds for little Timmy over there to build an apartment complex.
I know. And actually the only reason I started Fortnite is because I worked at a movie theater, and one of
Mm,
my supervisors was like, "Oh, hey, Rainy, you play games, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Would you ever want to play like Fortnite? Because they just came out with Zero Build." And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" Because I didn't love Fortnite, but
yeah,
I don't know. I used to work at a job where like people would call me and be like, it was customer service. And so they'd be like, "My child spent 500 of my dollars on Fortnite." And I'd be like,
yeah,
"That sucks." Like, and
yeah,
they're like, "Well, you need to give me my money back." It's like, we literally can't because we are not Epic. Like, I'm
yeah,
sorry that your son bought this without your consent, but maybe you should lock up your credit card.
right.
So my only like real thing about Fortnite was negative because people were just like normally talking to me about how much they were mad at Fortnite. So it's like, who the hell likes this game? Why would anyone like
Yeah,
that game? And now I'm like, I get it. I understand wanting
I
V-Bucks,
get it. I
child.
get it
I
now.
yeah. The skins are awesome. Like it's just so fun. And once we started playing Zero, but I was like, oh wow, I can
Yeah,
just focus on like shooting instead of like having to collect stuff and build myself because I'm bad at building. It's why I struggle with Minecraft. I don't know what it is. It's what
sure.
I struggle with in Valheim. I like the running around the world and experiencing it and fighting stuff. I do not like having to build my house. Somebody else can build
Yeah.
for me. I will collect the stuff for you and you will just have constant, crafting materials, but I don't want to have to build. So,
Yeah, especially like Fortnite is so different than what it used to be. Like now it's an entire platform now. They've got Fortnite Festival for all of the
yeah,
music
there's so
lovers.
many different games in it.
I love rhythm games. So I've been like
You can also
loading,
play like the car game.
yeah, Rocket Racing as well, and all of those Lego Fortnite as well. Like all of those are developed by external studios, and it's like it's crazy because it's like, okay, Rocket Racing was developed by Psyonix, who made Rocket League, of course.
Wait,
For
the people who did Rocket League actually
Yeah,
put
developed
that in
it.
the game?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought Fortnite just kind of like took it.
yeah.
That's
So
actually really cool. They
with
just want to become the one game to rule them all.
right with Festival, it's Harmonix who made Rock Band. So it's like
Wow.
it's and then Lego Fortnite is whoever I can't remember either TT Games or whoever owns the Lego Games rights. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
just so fun to be like, oh, I'm gonna load up Fortnite and listen to some Lady Gaga while playing like Guitar Hero. Like it's it's just crazy. So I like the amount of like the amount you can express yourself on Fortnite. Just I'm
Mhm.
excited to see it grow. I know Disney's working on a Fortnite experience at the moment, so I'm kind of interested.
Cool.
I wonder if it's gonna be like a Disneyland. Like
That would be cool.
it's proper
Have you ever been
metaverse
to
stuff.
Disneyland
Oh, my
or Disney
Disneyland
World?
stories, I'm so mad. So my parents brought me to Disneyland when I was like 4 years old. So I just don't
What?
remember it.
What? Okay, first of all, why would you ever take a child to something
I'm
like that? Because when most of the things are gonna be like, I don't know, not for kids that young.
I'm so
Well,
mad
especially
because
wait, you said you
yeah.
were from like Europe.
Yeah, so we went
That means you
to
had to travel.
Disneyland Paris. We
Oh,
went to
okay.
Disneyland Paris, which is still,
No, that
from Ireland, it's like, whatever, 3 hour flight and then however long it takes to get from Paris to Disneyland. But yeah, I
yeah.
remember the only thing I remember from Disneyland was these tiny little hard boiled candies. That's the only thing I
Hard
remember.
hard
The-
boiled candies?
like a yeah, like a hard candy. I was like, "Oh,
Like a Werther's
yeah, but
original?
kind of, but like fruit flavored, I guess."
Oh, okay.
And that's the
Hmm.
only thing I remember because I was too young and I've never been to Disney or Universal since. And I'm
Well,
like,
you know what? I
I need to
also have a
go.
bad Disneyland story.
Oh no.
So my grandma, I think when I was 11, took me to Disneyland, right?
Mhm.
And I was really excited to go. We were gonna go to Disneyland and then California Adventure because we lived up in Washington. We were gonna go down to California for I think just to go on this little vacation, which we didn't usually
Mhm.
go on. And we got to Disneyland and like everything was closed. Like the only ride I got to go on was like the it's a small world ride or it's a small world thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that was even the case that everything was closed.
It wasn't
And
like
so
weather?
no, it was sunny. So that's the thing about California. You know how you talked about snow?
Sure.
We don't really get that. Like I in the entire year and a half that I've now lived, or almost 2 years that I've lived in California,
Mhm.
I think the weather has only been bad really once, and that was when we had a hurricane, and I still went swimming. It wasn't that bad. Like, I still went out and then we had, like, a big tropical
Wow.
storm, and I was just the weather was warm and, like, the rain was warm, so I still went swimming. But it's like everything was closed, so we ended up going instead to California Adventure. I had a much better time there, which, at the California Adventure is, like, literally just a short 4-minute walk
Mm.
to Disneyland, and so luckily we were able to go there, but it's like I did not have a great Disneyland experience because I don't remember a lot of
Oh,
it. I just
wow.
remember everything being closed. I was so excited for Space Mountain, closed. I was so
Yeah.
excited for like, there was like a Toy Story ride that they had, closed. So, you and me with bad
Oh, man.
Disneyland experiences or like, not good ones. I'd like to try again.
Yeah, me too. There's been like streams where like I like either subathons or any endurance stream that I'm doing where I'd need to like take a break to eat, and I'd
Hmm.
just like put on either like Tokyo walkthrough videos or
Oh my God, I love
the
those.
Disneyland. Like we watched the Disneyland Japan one and it looked so pretty, and I was like,
I like kind of want to
ah,
go.
yeah, I'm like this is what I can experience now while actually waiting to go, but. Yeah, I do plan on going again. I
Think
hope I
you'll
can
go to
see.
Disney World?
Yeah, I'll probably go to the one in Florida. That's the
Yeah.
closest. That way we can probably see Universal as well, hopefully
I
at the same
think they
time.
have a Universal. I mean, Universal, I feel like they have to have one there. They have to
Yeah,
have 2, right?
yeah.
I've
There is
never
one
been to
in
the
Orlando.
I've never been to the one here in California. I was supposed to go, but I was
Ah,
scared when I was
yeah.
little, and so my grandma was like, "We don't have to go. We'll just go back to California Adventure." I feel bad though, because now thinking on it, she probably couldn't get her money back on those tickets.
So
I'm
what
just
is California Adventure just its own theme park, like its own kind of?
it's owned by Disney. I
Oh,
it's like, if Disneyland is like for kids,
right.
California Adventure is like for teens. It's not really
Okay.
like that, but like it has more roller coasters. It has more like thrill rides, type thing. And they
Yeah.
had this river rafting ride that I went on. Oh my gosh, 35 times in a row. My grandma, she was like, "Are you
Couldn't get
good?
enough.
What do you wanna do?" And I said, "I wanna go on the water ride." And so she said, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna sit here and read my book." I think she, like, finished, like, 10 chapters of her book, and I was just soaking wet, and I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to go."
Completely drenched.
Yeah, but I
That's so
dried off
good.
fast because it's just so sunny.
Did you have many experiences in arcades growing up?
Oh,
Um,
yeah, there was an arcade, back where I used to live. There's an arcade, like, kinda down the street from my mom and I lived, and so we would go there to, like, get snacks and also to play some of the video games together.
I'm so envious because like I grew up in Ireland, so like Ireland's like
That's so cool.
20 years behind technologically. Like they're so
Oh,
slow when it
really?
comes to technology. Like I remember when like the UK got like the contactless like card payments, and it took like 6 years to get to us.
Contactless Connor payments.
You
Oh,
know when you tap
like,
your
online?
no, when you like
Uh-huh.
tap your debit card like at stores when it's like just
Oh!
tapping.
Oh,
It took
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
took
I thought you
so
said car
long.
payment. I was like, "What's
No,
car
card.
payment?" Card. Hmm.
Yeah, it took so long for it to get it there. So, I mean, like, when I was growing up, we had, like, no arcades. The closest thing to an arcade we had would be, like, there would be a couple of arcade machines in, like, the movie theater. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that would be the only one. Like, I never had a dedicated arcade, growing up. So, I mean, I'd just love to hear, like, your experience with something like that. How
I
it
mean,
sounds so
I was
cool to be
pretty
like,
young,
yeah, sounds so cool to just be
but
like, "Oh, let's go to the arcade and get snacks and play some games." Like, it's like, I need
yeah, no,
it.
it was actually really fun, but I was pretty young, but it was just mostly, like, me and my mom. I used to move a lot, and so I didn't really have, like, friends that were
Sure.
close. Like, you'd have, like, individual friends that you'd, like, get to know, but I didn't really have any, like, close friends, and so if I was going somewhere, I was usually with my mom, which I'm
Yeah,
happy that she was always very, like, um I don't most
like,
there are some
willing
parents that
to
are like,
go.
"I don't want my." Well,
Yeah.
she I don't wanna say she likes video games because she does, but she was never like, "Oh, video games are a waste of time," type thing. Like, my
Yeah.
grandma is very much like, even though she plays video games on her computer all the time, like, she plays, like, internet mahjong and
Oh
internet,
my.
like, stuff all the time. But, she growing up, she was like, "Go outside, like, play a game, outside, like, do something
Yeah.
physical, why would you sit on a computer?" Where my mom was just like, as long as my kids aren't doing drugs, aren't getting in trouble, you know what? I'm gonna let
Yeah.
them do whatever they want in terms of their hobbies. I want them to really like these things. So like when I told her I was into anime, this is a little bit of a different side. When I started getting into anime, she did not know anime at all.
Yeah.
Sort Sweet summer mama, but she would buy me stuff that was anime and I liked it, but she bought me this
Uh,
poster.
uh,
And this poster had like a scantily clad woman on it. She
yeah.
had clothes, she was fully clothed, she had shorts and a kind of an open top, but, she was covered. She got this for me when I was 11 or 10, and she had these gigantic swords. She said, "Oh my god, I thought you'd like it because it's purple," because at the time, my favorite color was purple, and so
Yeah.
I, of course, looked up the anime and I watched it.
Yeah.
It wasn't ecchi. I
Oh,
never told
no.
her I never told her, like, what the anime was because, like, I don't think she want me watching this, but at the time I thought it was a good show. I probably didn't age very well now. It's called Tenjo Tenge,
Mm.
um, but she didn't know what it was at all. She was just like, "I know my daughter likes anime and video games, so
It's
I wanna
so
get this
funny.
for her." So yeah, growing up, when there was something kinda like that, we also didn't have a lot of money. So going to an
Yeah.
arcade was kinda nice. You could just get some coins, hang out. Usually it was kinda like I don't know, a skating rink, a roller rink, but just
Sure.
without the rink part.
Yeah.
Because it was just like the colored carpet was normally very 90s and, usually with the
Cool.
spirals and all that type of whatever, and there was usually, like, dim neon purpley light,
Mhm.
and you get, like, a pretzel or a slice of pizza, and you play some games, and you have to wait, so you have to, like, put your quarter down if, somebody else is still on the game,
Yeah.
and that was kind of annoying, like, waiting your turn, and also the fact that arcade games were kinda made to get your quarter,
Pull
so
money,
they'd be a little
yeah.
they'd either be really hard or you'd have to, like, keep putting a quarter in after a certain amount of time. There was a
Yeah.
Sailor Moon, game that I thought was really fun. I mean, thinking on it now, I wasn't very good at it, but it was like a fighting game.
Yeah.
So I did like that one.
I remembered like the light shooter games like
Mhm.
Time Splitters and stuff like that. Um
Yeah.
like trying to get as
Oh,
far as possible before you had to like put in
yeah.
another coin.
Did you ever play Bubble Bobble?
I did with a little
That was
dragon
me and my mom's
or
favorite out of the arcade games was Bubble
Bubble
Bobble.
Bobble, yeah. I always the bubbles always looked so tasty to me. Like I just wanted to eat them.
Right? Ugh.
um but yeah, I really hope that I can get to Japan before all of the big arcades are kind of because they are starting to shut down. I know
Yeah.
the big Sega in Akihabara was like closed down a few years ago, and it's like I want to get there before the rest of that happens, you know?
Well, there are a lot of smaller ones. When I visited Japan twice,
Mm.
and I was up in like the countryside.
Oh
Like
wow.
most of these people had possibly even never seen a foreigner in their life. They had only ever really seen other Japanese people, which is a crazy concept for me
Yeah.
because I am in America and I'll see people of all different types, whether they're American or they're just visiting from all over
Yeah.
the place. So like to think that someone has only ever seen other Japanese people, that's crazy. I'm also mixed, so like
Right.
no matter what, I'm multiple things. But there was an arcade up there, and it's nice because they will have like rhythm games. My favorite rhythm game is called Jubeat. It's
Oh.
like a bunch of cubes, kind of, and you have to tap the cubes as the music is playing. It's really fun.
Oh, nice.
So if you ever go to Japan, find a Jubeat machine because they're awesome. And then they have like a lot of crane games, like tons of crane games. I think that's like super popular
Yeah.
there. And they'll have like the taiko drum machines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's really
there's
fun. The one I went to didn't have a lot of people in it, so it was pretty open.
that's cool. There is a place near me I recently discovered that is just a like a crane game place, and it's so
Ooh.
cool because I've lived in big cities before, but again, the UK's culture when it comes to like arcades and stuff was very very limited. So like
Mhm.
moving here to Canada and being like, oh, like I can head downtown and see like this huge building filled with like crane machines, and it's just so cool because like you can go in there, spend a little bit of money, get all of these like plushies, and then you can be like, okay,
You're
do I
good at
want to?
it.
Yeah, like do I want to keep these ones, or you can actually like trade up to other prizes.
Really? Okay, that's actually kind of
Yeah,
cool.
so it was really cool. We found this one red frog that was like really easy to catch, and we just started getting like 15 red frogs, and we like traded them in for some like I got a couple of like Pokemon plushies from it, and it's like it was just a
That's
super
so
nice experience.
nice.
So I'm glad places like that still exist, you know?
Yeah, the my one like I've usually been pretty good at crane machines. So at the arcade, not arcade, the skating rink that I used to skate at, that machine, I don't know what it was. I was just really good at getting the things out of that one. And so normally what I would do is I'd be given a little bit of money and sometimes there were toys that I wanted, but if I ever went in and I got toys that I didn't want, there were usually birthdays going on. So I would just like the extra toys I would give
Uh
to kids who it was their birthday. 'Cause I'm like, I don't really need this one. Here you go. Happy birthday, child. Um, but it always felt really fun to be able to do that because multiple times I would be like getting stuff and a bunch of kids would be like around me like, "Oh, get that one, get that one, get that
yeah.
one." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And I just like grab them. They're like,
uh
"How?" And I'm like, "I don't know. This machine is just easy." But in
yeah.
Japan, I had a similar experience. I was able to grab two different toys by their tags
Oh
at
wow.
the same time. So I ended up with like four giant dog play. Like these things were huge. Like probably 24 inches long.
So
They were
like how
very big.
you're thinking, how do I actually get these home? Like
I had to crush them down into my, like, suitcase. They had, like, no air in them.
yeah,
I
you
swear when I brought them out, they were like
you make them like just like ziplocked
Yes.
airlocked bags, and it's like I recently bought a mattress. I found a
Mhm.
mattress off of Amazon because since since moving here, I've been using an air mattress, and it's been
Oh.
It's been rough, but I finally got a mattress. I unpacked it and it was tiny, and then I looked at the instructions. It was like, please allow 72 hours to fully inflate. I'm like,
Yes.
where am I gonna sleep? I was like, oh my goodness. So now it's like fully, it's an actual mattress. It feels so nice. But yeah, I love when
Happy
things
you have
are,
that.
yeah, I love when things are airlocked. It's just so funny to me.
Takes
Um,
so much time.
yeah. Something we didn't go over that you mentioned. How was the streamer awards?
Oh,
Yeah, I'd
yeah, it was
love to
actually
talk
really
about
fun.
that.
I got asked like literally the day before I had met
Yeah,
up with some other streamer friends, non-VTubers,
sure.
and we were just kind of talking. I said, "Oh, one of my friends was visiting from Austin, Texas." So I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
why are you here? Are you just here to like hang out with our other friend?" And he said, "Oh, no, we're going to the Streamer Awards." I was like, "Oh, wow, that's really cool. I didn't even know what's happening." They were like, "Yeah, it's happening in LA." And I went, "Oh, like in downtown LA?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, well, that's really cool." And they're like, "Do you want to go?" I said, "Oh, well, I don't really have like money to go." And so my friend goes, "I'll buy your ticket." I was like, "Wasn't it expensive?" He was like, "It's
Ah.
like $50." Like, okay, sure. What time would I need to like, be somewhere so that we can go? And they were like, you probably have to like 8 in the morning, 8 or 9. I was like, "Oh, okay. I think I could meet up at this at our friend's house at like that time. Sure." And he's like, "Yeah, then we'll drive you." I was like, "I only have to drive to the house?" And then you oh my gosh, not having to drive like in downtown LA is wonderful.
Oh
I
my
hate
goodness.
traffic here in Cali. Um,
Yeah.
so we get there, we hung out in like Little Tokyo for a while, which is just like a lot of tasty Japanese restaurants and
Yeah.
little toy shops and collecting shops, and it's just very fun. And then we went
Ah.
to the awards. The line wasn't super long,
Yeah.
but there were tons of like big streamers like not in that line. They got to go through like a special place.
Yeah.
But once you got inside, there was like a little bottom area where they had like their quote unquote red carpet. Which is
Sure.
funny because it wasn't a long carpet. It was a bunch of small little red carpets. Um,
That's so funny.
And so once you kind of they were like, "Okay, we're starting. You go get your seat." And then all the rich millionaire streamers were on the bottom floor, kind of like, where they could be talked and recorded, and then
Yeah.
all of us were just up in the whatevers. But watching like the videos that they had and like talking about the achievements of a lot of people like within this space, not even just, most of it wasn't even VTubing related. It was just streamers.
Yeah.
But I still think as a VTuber, if you want to one day be successful or be like the next large VTuber or whatever, independent or not, it's important to know the space. And the space is not just VTubers. The space is
Yeah.
all of the streamers. And so it's
Exactly.
just really cool because I got to see a bunch of people that I weren't really on my radar. I mean, an example is Quackity. I knew of Quackity
Yeah.
because Iron Mouse has been like on the Quack
Yeah,
QSMP.
QSMP, yeah.
Yeah, but he won like 2 or 3 awards, and just hearing him talk about like his journey to becoming, what he is now is just like really cool because he was like, "Yeah, I was a young kid in Mexico and I didn't
Yeah.
know any English and I wanted, there to be a way to bring people together through languages." It's like,
It's so
that's so
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah.
So, getting to know about other people and seeing like some very wholesome people just win awards, it's really just nice. I don't know. It was just a cool thing to look at. And also
Yeah.
seeing like I don't remember what his name was now that I'm he was in like fighting games. I don't even remember because I'm not like super into
Maximilian.
fighting. Yeah, so they like,
Mm.
talked about his accomplishments over the course of like 15 years or something. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's a long time to
Yeah.
be like doing
In the
stuff.
content
And then
creation sphere, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I think he's popular, but I don't think he's as popular as like some people. So it's like, man, he's been on this grind forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I've dabbled in like fighting games, so I did know all of his content, but I just didn't know exactly how much, like how dedicated he seemed to not just his fan base, but also like the fighting game community as a whole. Like it's
Yeah.
super nice when you get to discover a person through their accomplishments. It's like, whoa, like that's really cool. Like maybe
Yeah.
I'll watch them more after like that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
yeah. That's cool. I'd like to eventually go to some sort of award show like that. I think it's an experience that, like you said, like as VTubers, we kind of have to be clued into the stuff. So sometimes we're too clued into stuff that's going on in the VTuber sphere that it's nice to be like, hey, like there's other streamers here that aren't VTubers that we can
I
appreciate
think
just as much.
also, at least early on in like, when VTubing was becoming popular here in the West, a lot of people kind of kept to the VTubing space. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, we're different. We're VTubers. We're not streamers. I'm like, yeah, well now if you really want to be honest, we're all just streamers.
Yeah.
You're a streamer who uses a model. And that's
Yeah.
okay, but you're not any, I don't know. Some people like to have this weird elitism, like we're VTubers.
Yeah.
We're not the common streamer. It's like, but you do the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
So it's okay to like interact. I wish more people interacted together with like non
Sure.
VTubers. It's like
Yeah.
one thing I'd like to eventually do is have like more VTubers and non VTubers interact together. Because usually when I see a big event, it's like 40 VTubers or 40
Yeah.
streamers, but not like
Yeah.
20 VTubers and 20 streamers. I mean, up in the big, in the
Yeah, like
big
the
people,
big
right? Like,
tournament, like I think Apex tournaments do it where it's like, hey, here's your Apex stuff, and it's like a team of like two VTubers and like a IRL creator. But that's the only
yeah.
time I've really seen it where majority of VTuber collabs are with other VTubers, and it's like not like just hey, I like maybe I should be looking outside of the VTuber spheres for like kind of just content creation friends in the sphere. I think it's they got there's also like you can I feel like you can value from a different outlook on streaming
Yeah.
if you're talking to people who are outside of the VTuber community. So it's
Well, I also
important.
think it can be hard though for like I understand why people stick to the VTubing sphere because I've found from some of the comments that I've gotten on my videos, a lot of times there will be people that are like, "Oh, I don't really watch VTubers normally, but like you seem cool," or I
Yeah.
always thought these were cringe, and it's like there's a lot of people that never even want to give people who use a model a chance because they're like, "Oh, you must be like some weird anime shit," and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm a streamer just like you. And yeah, maybe I use a model sometimes, or maybe you're the type of VTuber who never shows their face and they use a model all the time. But
Mhm.
there also has to be this understanding that like we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it can be weird when you have like an IRL person and like, a moving picture. But just because somebody uses a model doesn't mean that they're not just as good of a creator as you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I mean, you recently had an Instagram reel kind of blow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you want to walk me through that experience? Like how has that been the first time something's gone that out of the bubble or that big? I think it was sitting at
Yes.
like what 500K or something.
Yeah.
Oof.
I've never had anything be higher than like I think my highest video ever on any platform was like 125,000 for a long time.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was like before I was even a VTuber. That was like on my Twitter,
Yeah.
or not my Twitter, my TikTok, and it was a
Hmm.
cosplay video. Um, but I had had a couple of videos be seen by like 150,000 people, but usually it was just like they were views, but I didn't get a lot of um
Interaction.
yeah. It
Sure.
was very few like actual comments, but this video got me a lot of comments, most of which were very kind and nice.
That's
But
good to
there were
hear.
some people. Yeah, no, it was like I feel really, really lucky that there were so many kind people, and a lot of people have stopped in to my streams, which I think is crazy. There is kind of a I don't know. Sometimes it's difficult to take the time. I think because a lot of people online right now they have like a pretty low attention span. Like even that's not even just me saying that. There is like actual studies to show that like our
Yes.
attention span is getting shorter because of short form content
Like the
like
fact that
TikTok, like Reels.
yeah, the fact that shorts have to have like a hook within the first like 1.3 seconds is insane
Yeah,
to me.
it's crazy. Like I watched this. This is a little bit off topic, but it applies. I was watching a video about movies and how most people nowadays don't want to sit through a movie that's like 2 hours. They would rather sit through like a show that has
Yeah.
multiple episodes that are shorter, because it's easier to sit through. And
Yeah.
also movies get super long. But yeah, I've never had anything, go kind of out of the sphere. And while most of it was really awesome and nice, I did get some comments that were like, "What is this? This is so cringy. Like, why do you have to hide yourself?" And I was like, "Well, if
Yeah.
you," I actually did comment on that one. I was like, "If you check out the rest of my Instagram, you'll see that I also post what I look like. So
Yeah.
I'm not one of the people who does that. But even if I was, who cares? Because that would be my choice
Right.
to be private. And there's no like, you don't get to choose person who does not probably doesn't even post on the internet and does not, go out of their way to um I don't know, be you when you post on the internet, you're going to have people that are mean to you. You're going to have like people that are unkind because they don't know you or they assume that they can just tell you what to do because they're kind of anonymous. Um
Yeah.
but I had some people, a lot of people actually come to my Twitch from these other channels, which I thought was crazy because it takes a lot, I think, for someone to go out of their way to kind of be like, oh wow, I like this person's reel. Let me check out their Twitch or their other socials.
Yeah.
Um, because I've heard a lot of VTubers in particular, and some streamers talk about how like, wow, I have such a large following on Twitter, but no one follows my Twitch. And then I usually look at their Twitter and I'm like, where's your Twitch link?
Yeah.
Where is like you it doesn't seem like you even have a Twitch based on your Twitter. Like you have to make
Yeah.
it very clear for people. I remember I had someone I knew in the past and they had asked me like, "Oh, why do you have your Discord link in you have it as a command, you have it as like in your title, you have it like in your about me section, you have it a couple times in your about me section as different links." I was like, "Because I would rather make it really easy for people to find this information because if
Yeah.
you don't make it easy, like really easy, a lot of people will not find their way there. So I have my Twitch
Exactly.
link in the title of all of my bios because
Yeah.
I want people to eventually make their way there because I would like to be successful and I also
Mhm.
want to make cool stuff. And if, people can like my space for that, then that's awesome. But I did get some comments that were like weird, but most of the time most of the time they were nice. But yeah, I've just yeah, that was probably a
Yeah.
long-winded way, but I've never had
No.
anything do that well, and so I just it's nice too because it was just me talking.
Yeah.
It wasn't like me and anyone else. It wasn't a game clip. It was just like me
Entirely you.
being
Yeah.
myself and
It's
talking like openly and genuinely. So,
yeah. I've had like mixed I do like TikTok as like or short form, I guess to generalize it as a
mhm,
medium. I just need to I feel like we said I need to find something that a format that I can easily replicate and easily kind of make sure that it's there. So like for example, my TikTok is pretty much primarily like short covers. Um
mhm,
and very few of them break the like 1K mark. There's some there that's
yeah.
like, oh, this one got 20K views, and it's like great.
I don't know how
um
TikTok works. I'm gonna be honest.
but it's like yeah, like shorts is still so mysterious to me that I'm like, okay, I have to be uh like I have to find some formula that I can do consistently and
Mhm.
make it work, because I do think short form content and posting to other platforms is super super beneficial to growth. So
It
I
is.
I, I always preach it, but I need to make sure to actually do it
Listen to
myself.
your own advice.
I know, like I still haven't even though I started cross posting like TikToks to YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. I completely forgot about Reels, so I need to be like, okay, I gotta get on Instagram as well. Like,
I think it's weird for me because Instagram, before I was a streamer at all, I was a cosplayer. And so I have had my Instagram since 2013.
yeah.
And it took me like 5 years to get to 3K.
Oh wow.
And I was so excited when I hit 3K. I mean, when I first even hit my first thousand, but like that
Yeah.
was such an accomplishment. Because I had one photo of me dressed as Harley Quinn that just got me like 1,000 followers. Like that was crazy to
Wow.
me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first thing I've ever had that was like popular. And it was really a really cool experience. And then like I started streaming and I'm gonna be honest, I don't post short form content in short form
Mm.
format
Yeah.
because and it's not that I like don't go out of my way to change it to short form content. It's just a lot of my clips I sometimes get really close to the screen when I'm talking, and
Yeah.
so if I make it short form then like my face is cut off, so it's just easier if I leave it the way it is. But also, I've for me personally, I have seen the things that have been the clips of mine that have been the most like widely popular or successful have always
Yeah.
just been me posting something that happened during stream, which I think is a
Mm.
benefit to for the brand that I try to give, which is I like to be myself. I like to be genuine. Um I'm not going to pretend to be your girlfriend. I'm not going to pretend to be like this weird experience. That's not what I do. If you want that, there are tons of people that make that.
Mhm.
I'm not very lewd.
Yeah.
I'm don't like maybe an innuendo joke here or there, but like I just don't do that. It's like you get to come to
Yeah.
my stream and you get to sit down in a room with me. Like that's what it is. Um and I think that that works well for the types of clips that I show because they're literally just me being myself, um, which is the same type of content I make on my stream and the same type of vibe that I want to give. I want it
Yeah.
to feel like we all just decided we're gonna get together and hang out in a room, playing a video game or doing a thing together, and that's the type of vibe that I want to give. And I think those give that similar vibe. Um,
Yeah.
but I do all of this by myself and I am not the best editor. I'm not fast at it. It takes me a long, long time to make a clip that's like, they have some people are highly edited, like meme, very
Yeah.
funny content, but I'm not good at doing that. I don't have money to commission someone to do that
Yeah.
more often. So I do what I can, and what I can do is take a clip, add text, and post it.
Yeah.
Um, but it feels really good when those things are successful because it does show you that you don't necessarily need to have someone who edits crazy and it's like
Mhm.
flashy in your face. Because I can sometimes also get overwhelmed when I'm seeing a clip with like too much happening or a
So
video with too much
much.
happening
Yeah.
all the time, you know?
I get
But
that.
okay, going back to what I was talking about, sorry.
No, no, of course.
From posting this video, or I posting a different video, I went from 3K to 11,000
Oh, wow.
in like I think a month. And I was like,
Wow.
that's weird especially to have been working for 5 years to
It's a
like try
lot
and
of
get
people.
to all of a sudden be at 11K for like a couple of videos that you posted because Reels is kind of the TikTok copy.
Yeah.
Um, and it really helps you out. Especially like even not all of your videos might be successful, but I feel like it makes more sense than like TikTok. I really don't know. You can have a video on TikTok hit like 100K and then
Yeah.
one hit like 10K and then one hit like 400 people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
huh?
It's so
um,
confusing.
but when I posted this video, literally like 5 or 6 days ago, I'm now at 23K. And I'm like, how?
From 11?
I from 11
Wow.
from like one video. And I'm just like,
12K followers from one short
yeah.
is
I mean, I posted a
crazy.
couple of shorts after that one, so it was probably a mixer, but I think
Still.
like 9,000 of them
Whew.
came from that one video.
I got
And
on
so
reels.
it feels very humbling to have like people come from a video that was just me talking, but also it makes me like, I don't know, I want to make sure that I don't like that I can give back to those that want to follow me and support me because one thing that I have a personal like fear of is I've known a lot of people in the both the VTubing sphere and the normal streamer sphere that they kind of take advantage of the
Mm,
kindness of their audience. They take advantage of the amount of support that they have. I've seen people put on huge
yeah.
events and get a
Uh-huh.
lot of money, like monetary support, and just like, they get a lot of raids, they get a lot of that, only to like all of a sudden now they're gone. They just left.
Yeah. Wow.
They didn't do anything from their subathons, their events. They just, took it and kind of ran. And then they come back when they need more or something like
Uh,
that, where I've seen
yeah.
people lie about like, well, oh my gosh, I need money this month for my rent. But then you see them get a new model or like talk
Right.
about how they've commissioned something. I'm just like, there are people that care about you. And, as an entertainer, your first thing, if it's for your job, should be to make sure you're entertaining your audience and also don't take advantage of them when they are kind to
Yeah.
you.
I'm
Um,
I mean it's like that situation you just described. I'm sure like their community would be totally okay if they're like, "Hey, I want to get a new model. Like let's try and do this." Instead of being like, "No, like I need like things are really bad. I need help like
I
financially."
need
It's
rent or something different.
yeah, like come on. It's I don't know. Like I've always been like super thankful for any events that I've thrown, you know? Like
Mhm.
um for example, the move over from the UK to Canada was like
I'm
super
sure that was not
expensive.
cheap.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like it was a case of like my previous employer like couldn't keep me on if I moved, so I was like, okay, let's do a subathon. Super grateful that that lasted like 9 days. I was like,
That's
wow,
incredible.
that's crazy. I was just like shocked. Like the stuff we raised from that like bought my plane ticket. Like it's
Oh,
like
that's so nice.
insane. So I was like super grateful for them. And yeah, I don't know. I think like you said, people do take advantage of that stuff, and um yeah, I don't know. I wish that there are more kind of conscious creators that kind of don't take that stuff for granted, even as people, you know, start to grow
Mhm.
and stuff like
I
that.
think it especially comes becomes hard, like, when someone does grow, I've seen, like, really sweet people when they're smaller, and then all of a sudden they, like, get a lot of followers where you know, they start to think that they're, like, better than other people because they have a larger following, and
Yeah.
that's just not the case. You're still the same person, you have more followers, yes, that's true, but some crazy I've seen some crazy messed up stuff, from people who have large followings,
Yeah.
they just because you have a lot of people that do support you, they might not even know you. They might
Mhm.
just be like, "I saw this one video, I thought it was cool. I'm gonna give
Yeah.
them my follow." But just because they're popular does not mean they're a good person. It does not mean that they're any better than like, a creator who only has like a couple or just started. And
Yeah.
maybe they're more entertaining, yeah, because they have experience, but it doesn't make you a good person. And
Exactly.
I don't know if I won't get into it too much, but there have been some VTubing stuff where it's like, oh yeah, somebody took advantage of this person
Yeah.
with this VTuber with a big following took advantage of someone. Um,
Yeah.
and now they're gone, thank goodness, because what they did was not okay. But
Mhm.
just because you have a large following does not mean you can take advantage of people, does not mean that you're allowed to treat people differently. I know a lot of people who had interactions with that person were like, "Oh yeah, well, I looked up to them because they had such a large following." It's like, don't put them on a pedestal just because they have a lot of
Yeah.
followers.
Exactly.
Look at their
Yeah.
actions, because a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, this person was kind of a creep for a long time." I'm like, then why did you all continue to follow them? I mean,
Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, as Dove mentioned in the chat, there's the algorithm oftentimes sweeps a lot of talented and um, you know, super kind people under the rug. So
yeah.
it's I think it's yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, for me when I started VTubing, I got I never really looked at numbers. You know, I was always kind of I was, you know, I will admit I was nervous reaching out to people that I wanted to kind of get to know better, but I luckily got into contact with a nice group of people. You know, a couple of them have graduated now for different reasons whatsoever, but I was like super shocked when I like organized my first collab because I was like, I really like these creators. I want to get
Yeah.
to know them a little better. I had like 25 followers and I was reaching out to people with like 18,000 followers and I was like,
I
"Hey,
think that's
like
so good though that you did that, because there's a lot of people that won't reach out. Okay, an example, really short story. One time I was sitting at for me it was a big day. This was a while ago. I think I was sitting at like 40 people, which was a lot for me. And I rated Merriweather. And I mean
oh
Merriweather
yeah.
is usually at like 400 or something, but I rated him because I like his content. I think he seems pretty nice. I really like his comics. I've been following since before he was even a VTuber.
Mhm.
And I always post on my Twitter like, "Oh yeah, thank you, to these people who rated me," and then I say who I rated.
Yeah.
Well, a mutual of mine was like, "Oh my gosh, they didn't mean anything bad by this, and it wasn't a bad thing for them to say." They were just like, "Oh my gosh, I could never raid like Merriweather. He's so cool." And I was just like, "Well," I responded with, "He's just a guy. Like he's just yeah. I mean, yeah, he has a large following, but he's literally just a guy. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it
okay."
you know, a lot of times there and then, you know, you do admit there are times where you reach out to someone and somehow they don't see, their your message or anything, but a
Yeah.
lot of the times they do, and they're just I've made a number of VTuber friends just being like, "Hey, I love your content. I love your personality. Let's, I'd love to, hang out or just talk, get to know you more and stuff like that." And
Yeah.
it's also like taking into account, like for example, for Bounty Acquired for this show, I'm trying to kind of reach out to, more well known, or even just, I don't really look at numbers for the show. I've had people of all sizes on here, but there is still that interest to be like, okay, people, I'd like to look into talking to some people who I've looked up to, and reaching out to them. And um I have already planned the next guest of the show, and I'm someone I'm super excited for. But
Yay.
how that went was I messaged them on Twitter and I got no response. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, but then I emailed them and I was like, hey, like, I messaged you on Twitter. No worries if you didn't see it. Blah blah blah. This is me. This is what I do, and I'd love to invite you on my show. And like 12 hours later, they were like, "Yeah, like I'm sorry I didn't see your DM, but I'd love to be on this." And I was like, "Let's
A
go!"
lot of
Like,
times
oh
the
my
DMs
god,
also go into
the message requests,
yeah, and
like,
so you won't even know that it's
yeah,
there. And so I think that's a really good quality that you have because there are a lot of people that will assume that based on numbers or based on like um maybe status,
yeah.
there are some people where it's like, oh, I could never interact with them. They're too high up there. They're too like godly. It's like they're just a person.
This is a
They
little
just have a
guy.
lot of followers. Yeah, they're just it's like when you get rated,
Yeah,
maybe this is just my opinion. I've sometimes been in like um streams where somebody gets rated by like a really, say they get rated by like 100 people and they're
sure,
like, "Oh
yeah.
my god, yo, pog." But then they get a rate of like 5 people and they're like, "Oh yeah, thanks for the rate." I'm just like,
Yeah,
"What?" That puts me off from wanting to watch that person. I know that it's
yeah,
totally normal to be like, "Oh, a big number, big hype," but it's like I want myself for anyone to feel
yeah,
that their rate is appreciated. And
exactly.
so, to try and hopefully get rid of that stigma, because I have had some people be like, "I didn't think I could talk to you because you're so big." I'm like, first of all, I'm not very big, and second of all, just talk to me. Just try. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure we can talk. I'm sure we can figure things out. And if we end up doing something together, we end up talking, then we end up talking. But if we don't,
Mhm.
that's okay too. Um, because I think, reaching out to people who are larger or whatever, and not just stopping at like
Yeah.
I'd sent a DM. Maybe hopefully one day would get rid of that stigma of like, oh, I can't interact with these people. They're too big for me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So
I agree.
I'm
Um
excited to know who the next guest is. I will
Oh.
definitely watch. I mean, not now. You don't gotta say it now. I'm excited for when you release information. I'm so
Yeah.
curious.
I'm trying to do one a month, so oftentimes I reach out a little bit ahead of in advance just in case, especially for like for example, for you, I reached out and I was like, okay, like I mentioned, like you're the first person who I haven't previously talked to, so I'm like,
I feel
okay,
so special. Oh my goodness.
I gotta make sure that I have at least some topics, because if I'm like, uh-oh, we've talked about that, now what do I do? So I'm glad it's been fun so far. But is there any like indie VTubers you look up to? Like, is there anyone who either inspires you to do more with your content, or um like what is your, has anyone you strive to kind of be more like, not in like I'm gonna copy them,
Hmm.
but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think I have anyone really like that because I don't like know personally. One, I will say I love her so much. And the reason I don't want to say like the reason I love her is this. I mean, like I knew her before she was like doing really well.
Mhm.
Her name is Miss Lala VT.
Oh yeah.
And she's a model sibling with me for our
Mhm.
3D models. And I knew her before she was a model sibling with me. She would sometimes pop in and I saw her around Twitter. And so I gave her a follow because she was just always really nice
Yeah.
whenever she stopped in.
Mhm.
And she got a model from the same person who made my 3D model,
Oh,
Akuda.
awesome.
And I was so happy because she was always sitting at usually like 15, which, is a lot for
Yeah.
somebody who's kind of just started. But now she sits at like 100, 200, and
Yeah.
she's partnered. And I'm just like, I'm so proud of her because
Yeah.
she just works really hard and she's really kind. And out of the people that I know in this space,
Mhm.
she is one that I can think of that I'm just like, she deserves, to be successful because she's a very like level-headed person who's very
Yeah.
professional and kind. And I love the videos that she makes. And so just
Yeah.
watching her go from, 1 month 15 to 1 month already partnered, or well, a couple months, but it just is really inspiring.
Yeah.
In terms
Yeah.
of other like indie VTubers that aren't my friends, I think like I like Giga.
Mm.
I think that her talks are very not smart. I mean they are smart, but I mean like they're very like easy to understand. She does is also very professional
Mhm.
um and just very level-headed, I guess, about things, very mature.
Yeah.
I like watching Iron Mouse even though she's like not really small. Just because I like when people are just themselves. And I mean, I
Yeah.
also am inspired by non-VTubers. So like I really like Brian David Gilbert,
Mm.
and he streams sometimes. And Tom Cardy. He's not a streamer,
Oh,
but I
oh,
just like
okay.
when people, I don't know, they are
Yeah.
themselves and they like do the weird things that they like to do. Um, and they don't like let people, at least they don't seem to let people stop them from doing what they want. I like
Yeah.
Shy Lily too for that because she also at least seems to have a very similar idea of like my audience, my chatters, my fans, the people who come to my streams,
Mhm.
those are the people why I'm successful. And I have that same feeling is that no creator can be successful, no matter how cool your stuff is, no
Yeah.
matter how unique, if you do not have people to share it and that want to see you succeed and are going to talk about you and, kind of spread your name while you're not live or while you're not around, you're
Mhm.
not going to be successful. You are
Yeah.
only as successful as your audience and as professional as you are, but, you know,
Yeah.
she seems to really care about her fans.
Mhm.
Every story that I've ever heard, even though I don't watch a whole lot of her content.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
I
think
I
I
I
think that.
I think for me recently, um, I've definitely been watching a lot. I watched him a little before, like, as soon as he debuted, but Basil Wolf,
I love Basil Wolf and Boo
he
the Rat.
is, yeah, they are, both of them are so creative with how they
And
set
so
up their streams,
kind.
and it's just such a nice atmosphere to be around. It's like
Mhm.
you can just sit in there and like they could be extremely hilarious or like super chill, and it's like I don't know, like something about his content or their content makes me like want to like invest time into carefully crafting like my streams. I'm like, ooh, like just little things he does, whether it's sound effects or
Like his
zooms
fishing
or
thing.
his fishing thing, like it's like
Yeah.
super cool. um
I Did you see Boo the Rat's like debut?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, all the work that Basil and, Bunchata and, Star Pirate did and a couple other people, but it was so well done, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
"Damn, this is clean, this is nice." I know you talked about, like, debuts earlier, I meant
Yeah.
to say something about it, but it's funny that, as VTubers, we have debuts, but, like, if a person, like a normal streamer was to be like, all right, guys, I have a video. I'm gonna have a thing. We're all gonna. This is my very first stream ever. Like that's
Yeah.
not a thing that normal streamers do. You know.
Uh,
So I think it's very funny because I like to think about the difference between when I started as a normal streamer versus like as a VTuber. Like there are things that VTubers do that a normal
yeah.
streamer would not do. Like, oh my god, guys, I got a new outfit. Let me show you my toes. Like, let me show you my shoes first. Um, but yeah, that
Uh,
was a little side note. But I think both of them are awesome. I've been watching Basil for a while.
yeah.
And I watched
So
Do the Rat.
talented.
Just both really good. And
Yeah.
I think it's cute that they are, together. They're like
Yeah,
husband
and
and wife. I
their
love them so
lores are
much.
like it, like they have like shared lore and shared universe and all of
Yeah.
that stuff, and it's like that's so sweet. I love that.
It's just
Um,
also very clear how much they love each other because I remember right before her debut, I was sitting in his stream and he was like, I'm so happy for her debut and I want us to be known as like the OG like VTuber couple." And I'm just like,
yeah.
I think that's easily possible. Like even my husband, okay. So my husband will sometimes be on like funny junk and he saw a picture of Boo and Basil. And he sent
Yeah.
it to me and went, "Oh, I know those VTubers." He went, "Wait, these are VTubers?" I said, "Yeah." It was like the picture of her like doing witchy stuff and it's Basil and he's sitting on the ground. It's like me letting my hot witch wife do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh yeah, like they're VTubers and they're a couple." And he was like, "Oh wait, that's actually really cute." I was like, "Yeah, they're very cool. They're very cool
Yeah,
people."
I think so too.
So
We did have one question on Twitter. Sometimes, usually when I put out those tweets, they don't really get questions. I just like to put them out just in case.
that's okay. Do it anyway.
Um,
Over time, more people will ask questions.
exactly. But question from Leo Valerain. I don't know if you know
Oh yeah, I
Leo.
do.
But they said, question, you always work so hard and create so much joy for your community. What helps you stay motivated? What helps you feel confident, strong enough to keep working and moving forward, especially when times feel tough?
Hmm. So I think it's probably because of the people that do come by and the spaces that I have made have really grown like a lot.
Uh-huh.
An example is like the when I first made my community Discord, it had 3 people, no, 4 people in it. It had me, my friend Volshak, my friend Origami Stegosaurus, and
Mhm.
another friend of ours, the Binary Storm. Right? It was like
Mhm.
I had at one point I've been like, "Oh yeah, I'll make a server," and I don't know if anyone will ever join it, but um, it'll be whatever. And we used to just hang out in there and watch stuff. And to think that that server was made in like 2021 and it now has almost 717 people in it.
Wow.
I know that that's small compared to like some really big
Oh,
people, but to
still.
me that is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a ton. And sometimes it can be really hard to um when you notice that your numbers are down or when like oh viewership hasn't been as high or oh you didn't make as many subs this month or
Yeah.
no one's really interacting with you on your socials or Twitter, but the thing that makes me want to keep trying and to keep doing stuff is because of all the people that have stuck around even when I, am not quote unquote, I guess trending. There's sometimes where people are there are trending like Boo had she was trending for a little while and
Sure.
I think a lot of people were in her space because of her debut and stuff, but people have like we talked about kind of a shorter attention span and so
Mhm.
like you might be the flavor of the week but maybe not next week. And that's kind of a sad thing to feel, but there are people that are going to stick around with you and to you
Yeah.
and to really enjoy your spaces. And if I personally was to let the times that were hard get me down, um then I'm letting them down. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously a lot of your times will be like, "You'll never let us down," because they're so sweet. A lot of times, I don't know if you've experienced that where you're like, "How can I improve the thing?" And people are like, "It's
It's
perfect. You cannot."
perfect.
It's like, I know there are things I can change. I know you guys are very sweet, but there's some people that will be there kind of pushing you forward even when you're down. But I don't ever want to have the people who do follow me or watch me to feel like down because of
Sure.
something that's happening because it's not their fault. Maybe I need to do something more interesting. If something's not working, what have I not posted this week? Have I not like have my streams been interesting? What can I do to make them better, not just for myself?
Yeah.
Because I always tell my chatters this I stream for myself over everyone else. Why? Because I have to be comfortable. Because if I'm comfortable and I'm myself, then I will, your chat is a reflection of the streamer, hopefully, as
Yeah.
long as you set like rules and boundaries and you don't just let them go rampant.
Mhm.
Um, and I want there to be a space where the people who are in my spaces can also feel comfortable being themselves. So if I'm comfortable being myself, and I'm having a good time and you come into the stream and you have a good time, it's probably going to be a good time together. But if I was doing stuff that made me uncomfortable or made me unhappy, people are going to be able to tell.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. No, that's
so I guess
awesome.
I do it for them.
You got
I
the
guess
little
is the
Simpsons
short version.
poster with all the
Yeah,
this
do it for chat.
do
Do
it
it
for
for
chat.
chatters.
That's
But
great.
yeah, I feel very I'm not religious, but I feel very blessed to have like, people
Mhm.
who do believe in me and what they think how far they think I can go and how the potential that I have as a creator and as a person. And that's trying to be like sell yourself as kind of I don't want to say a product, but as something to be like, you
Yeah.
know, that's really difficult to
Oh, yeah.
do. If it's like, I have to brush my teeth. Oh, a toothbrush
Yeah.
will fix that. But it's like, oh, I need entertainment. There are millions of people, literally. I
Yeah.
mean, an example is I've had people say like, "Oh yeah, I watch you more than I watch like such and such huge creator," and I'm like,
Thank
I take that
you.
as a compliment, but I'm also like, what do I do that's special that's more special than
Yeah.
like the big creators that have like 12,000
Sure.
watchers? But I also don't want to belittle their compliment because they they believe in either me or whoever they're following,
Yeah.
um, and that's a very special thing because their time is worth more than literally anything, even
Mhm.
more than money. You only have so much time. You can always make more money. But
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no, that's a good way to look at it. It's like, yeah, like we'd be nowhere without our communities. So,
no.
I've been trying to, because I also, like everyone has a Discord server, but um I've been trying to like just like breathe life into it, right? Because a lot of the time
Mhm.
it's often forgotten about on my end, where I'm like, oh, I haven't said hello to everyone, or I want to like try and do more movie nights or game nights or something. And um, I want to be better at that. I want to be like, okay, maybe once a week we sit down and play a game or watch a movie. And that's the little
Yeah.
things will go a long way when coming to
I think that when you're when you're growing a community, especially that you mentioned like kind of forgotten on your end, um I am active in my server.
yeah.
I will say hello. I read through as much as I can. I post my own stuff there because one thing that I've noticed is you'll go to a person's chat and they're like, oh, yeah, we have a Discord server. And it's like all of their chatters are chatting, but they very rarely actually use the space.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if you had a server like with 10,000 people in it or 100,000 people, right? You probably at that point don't need to be active in the
Yeah.
space, and if you were active, I bet people would swarm you like, "Oh my god, it's so and so," right? But um it's important that you are a leader for your space. So,
yeah.
if you are active in your Discord server or in your, whatever,
Mhm.
other people will feel comfortable to be active,
Yeah, I
because they're
think
like, oh well, so and so is already active, so I should
yeah,
interact with them.
I think visibility is a big part, and like you said, as someone I've done community and social media for the
Mhm.
games industry for since like 2017,
Oh my gosh, I'm so interested in that.
and that's one thing. It's like visibility and just showing that you're there is super
Mhm.
super key, and something that, like I said, I've been trying to do better for myself, my personal. I grow
Yeah,
communities on a daily basis, but when it comes to my stream, I'm like, guys, I just want to chill. Like but yeah, no, yeah, communities, um something I've been passionate about for a while. I mean,
yeah,
I dropped out of college. I went to college for game design, and I dropped out. I was like, I really want to do something in the industry. And
yeah.
that around that time, I was helping out with moderating Twitch servers, and Discord was just launching. And
Mhm.
I basically went around. I was like, I'm going to break into the industry. I'm going to do it. And
Hell yeah, let's go.
I
And you
was
did it.
like, contacting like small game devs and being like, hey, like, I see you're working on a game. I'd love to work on a server for you guys. And luckily, um, one of the games I reached out to replied to me. I became a mod for them for their Discord server. pretty much like ran their community. And like a
Mhm.
year later, they offered me a position at their company, and I was like, it was like my
That's
first
awesome.
first thing, first position, and then that was yeah, my first time working with an indie studio. Had like 12 employees at the time, and then I moved on to um, uh, an indie publisher in the indie
Mhm.
publishing space, and now I am freelancing at the moment. But yeah,
That's so
it's
awesome.
it's so cool working on being able to work on video games. Of course, I won't name any in case of
Oh,
doxing,
of
but
course.
but
I went to
it's been
school
fun.
for game well, I my degree is in digital art and animation, but I did work on as an art director and art producer of a lot of like student games and
Oh,
indie
cool.
games. And my husband is a UI programmer
Oh, nice.
and game designer. So
Yeah. Like
I'm
I
always very interested when people are like, I work in games or I work in the
yeah.
games field. I'm like, oh, let me know. Tell me about your life.
Yeah, it's weird because I going into college, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a level designer, and I started taking the classes and all of that stuff, doing 2D, 3D animation, like Unity, Unreal Engine, all of that stuff. And I was like, I'm terrible at this. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at this. Like, this is like everyone in my class was like excelling at it, and they were like, yeah, look what I
It's
made,
okay.
and you look over to my stuff, and it's like I always picture the meme of like Homer building the barbecue, and he sees the box, and
Oh my God,
he lifts
yes.
up the box, and it's just like cement.
I, like, kind of
So,
felt similarly, like, I mean, um, all of my I had, like, 2D animation classes, 3D animation classes, and,
mhm,
the one thing I was actually good at was character design, which is the one thing I wanted to do, but my school
yeah,
forced me to kinda take a lot of classes that I wasn't interested in, and that I didn't really want to take, so I was really focused I wanted to focus on, like, 2D
sure.
specifically, and I was like, "Okay, 3D is cool, but I'm not, like, I don't really wanna be making 3D characters or anything." They were like, "Yeah, well, you have to do it anyway." So, like, I'd make something and then I'd, like, look at all my, counterparts or my, what, students? Wait, classmates. I don't know
Classmates.
why. Yeah, my classmates, and I was like, "These look good. Mine looks bad." And I mean, I know it was because I wasn't interested in it at all, and I really just needed to pass, but I'm just like I felt that where I was like, is this the right path?" And then, well, I graduated anyway, and I didn't get a job in the industry anyway.
Ah.
So I became a VTuber. I became a
Yeah.
streamer, but now I still get to use my character design, which is the one thing I wanted to do. I actually do outfit designs for a lot of VTubers and
Ah,
uh,
cool.
have done character design for some people's VTubers, but most of them are like haven't debuted yet or are smaller.
Yeah,
Like my friend Volshock, I did his design though.
that's
It's
exciting.
usually a group effort. Like they already kind of know what they want, and
Sure.
you know, I make them something based on that. But I hope one day I could just be like, look, this is the commission. I design you a design.
Yeah. Let me
There's not
choose.
like yeah, you can give some feedback, but it'll be my design. You give me a vague idea and I'll make it happen.
Yeah,
Because I think that would be really fun. So,
it's awesome.
mm,
Oh, man. I mean, I think we're probably looking to wrap up pretty soon.
yeah.
One thing I always like to ask towards the end of the show is like, what do you have any like long-term goals, short-term goals um with VTubing and stuff like that? I remember I actually saw this short of you saying that one of your goals, longer term goals, is to grow big enough to show everyone Odin Sphere. And
Yes.
I thought that was so sweet. I was like, oh my goodness, what a unique goal to have, just to be like,
Oh,
yes.
thanks.
But yeah, like, is there anything you're looking forward to working on this year, or over the next like year or so? Kind of, what are your
Um,
plans?
so my long-term goals, if I could have any goal happen, all right,
Mhm.
I would want to be able to I really do. Odin Sphere is Atlas and Vanillaware make a lot of cool games. They made like the newest one is like Unicorn Overlord,
Sure.
13 Sentinels, the Persona games, right? Um but Odin Sphere never even once it had its like re-release, I guess, or its like update, I
Mhm.
still didn't feel like it got as much marketing as, like, Dragon's Crown, which I,
Sure.
just don't think is as good of a game. That's a personal preference, but, so I would really love to just be able to one day sit and be like, "Look, I'm going to y'all are here to hang out with me. I'm going to finally show you all my favorite game. I would really love if even if you watch me play it that you go buy it yourself and you also play it because experiencing it yourself is awesome. And I have already played it once on my channel, but I will definitely play it again. Um and then I would really love one day if I'm ever big enough as a creator, I want a Fortnite skin. I want
Ooh,
a Fortnite skin
that's
so
such a unique one.
I really do. Like, I don't think I have any friends that work at Epic.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll see and be like, "Yo, do they have like a creator program? How many followers would I need to be able to get a chance at a Fortnite skin?" But in terms of like short-term goals right now, I would really like to hit partner.
Mhm.
It'd be cool to hit it before my 4-year anniversary at the end of April, but
Yeah.
if not then hopefully maybe my birthday, which is in July. And then I would really like to one day have an original song, but it's quite
Mm.
expensive to find someone, to like, you have to like get it written and then you have to get music made and it has to
Mix,
be mixed together
master,
and then
art,
maybe you
music
get like an
video.
MV or something. So
Yeah.
it's just like that's
I
a
know the
lot.
struggles.
Yeah, it's a lot to like that is I don't know, probably a long-term goal. Um or a big term goal. I mean, I would
Mhm.
obviously one day love to be in a position, something that I mean, you're kind of already doing it. But one thing that I've always kind of wished is that, and I know that it's not possible necessarily, but larger creators seem to always promote other larger creators,
Mm.
which is awesome. They're usually their friends, they're really close to them. I wish that I could have either a talk show or something. I've thought about this for a long time where I
Yeah.
showcase people who are smaller that, I maybe put out a thing and I'm like, look, I want to know why you think you should, why do you think you're, what skills do you have or what do you have that, you think more people should recognize you for? And
Yeah.
then, I'd choose like one or two people and I'd have them on a show just to like give them visibility in a
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a large enough audience that I could do that in a more easy way, because like I'm still
Yeah.
small myself. So it's like, oh, one small creator talking about another small creator, who cares, But it's like
Yeah.
if like Iron Mouse or someone huge was to say like, oh yeah, this creator is really cool, I bet you they would have, a flush of new people come into their
Yeah.
spaces. Um, and so I hope one day I'm able to help out smaller creators as well because I know how hard it is to start by yourself and like struggle to be seen and noticed and try to do new things even
Yeah.
when um there is like, maybe no one telling you you can't do it, but like no one's really interested in anything you have to do, but like what you have to show is really cool,
Sure,
but no
yeah.
one's noticed yet. So
I like that. I
that
like that.
that's
It's
not
a
like a
very humble goal. I think
I
it's
hope
it's
one day I
awesome.
can have it happen, but it's very sweet that you're doing something like this. It's very cool, and I was, very honored to be asked to be on your show, so thank
Ah.
you again.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I had so much fun just getting to know you more and talking, and it's I did we spoke before, our both of us were like a little like nervous. It's like, it's kind of nerve-wracking to like talk to someone like you don't know like at all. So it's
Yeah. I mean,
it's
I knew a little bit because I did watch, I watched your show with Phoenix,
mhm.
and then another one that you did, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but I, like, skimmed through it while I was, like, you know,
Yeah.
being like, "Hmm, who is this? Who is this person?" Because you never know when,
You always
there's
have to be
random.
careful, you know. There's always
Yeah.
some sort of like not doubt, but like just caution
Well,
to
when you've never met someone, like, if we were
yeah.
mutuals, it'd be different, but I was like, "Oh, let me see." But no, you seemed very nice and very cool, and when you were chatting with everyone, it seemed very, like, casual and just kinda, like, fun. I was like, "Oh, I think this would be awesome to do."
Mhm.
So and you're very nice, so I'd love to chat with you again, even if not on stream. So,
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I guess we'll do the classic like where can people find you, as we're wrapping
yes.
up. Would you like to shout anything out or yeah.
Yeah, you can find me at Rainy Renton on everything. That literally, if you Google me, my name is the same everywhere. I think that's important, at least for me, to
Yes.
have like the same name be the same everywhere. There's no underscores, there's no nothing, just RAINYRENTYN. It's spelled a little different, but yeah, I have an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube that I'm trying really hard to get to 1,000, and then my Twitch, which I'll actually be having a stream later tonight. So
Yeah. That's
if you'd like to hang out more.
that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on.
Mhm.
We'll kind of debrief for a few minutes. I'm gonna switch back over to the starting student screen, and we're gonna continue. We're gonna play some Bioshock Infinite, I think.
Nice. Enjoy your
So,
game. That's so fun.
but yeah, thank you so much, Rainy.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
guys, we'll stick around here, and we'll be back. We'll be back. So, yeah, bye bye.